Boys, the Society is here on Sportswire Radio live, and we have not one but two forts of the Society that'll be here with us over the course of the next 2 hours, and I'm excited about this one because our guy here leading off is going to be a part of a really intriguing match that is upcoming at Nonstop Action Wrestling's Nuclear Winter this Saturday, which you can catch if you're like me on the other side of the world on Instagram at NSAW Wrestling UK. You can also catch it in Swinton if you want to stand outside and get a ladder and a window if you haven't bought a ticket yet. But he is really one of my guys on Sportswire Radio. I've had the pleasure to have him on here a couple of different times. So excited to speak about his match, his role in the Winter Rumble, plus a really huge weekend ahead for the Society, plus much more. So without wait for it, further ado here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show, pro wrestling star here from Blackheart Wrestling. And, of course, nonstop, never stop, nonstop action wrestling and Wrestling Appreciation Society. His name is Callum Jakester. My friend, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm just glad someone gets my name right. After the last Blackout show I had, we're dealing with J-Ro Lewis messing up my name. It's good to have someone say it right. So,
well, I appreciate that. Certainly, we'll certainly, I'm sure, hope that they get your name right this weekend at the Be Strong Performance Center there in Swinton. But good to be with you here. And literally, we're just about, I want to say, 48 hours or so from Nonstop Action Wrestling's 6th consecutive sellout. That is Nuclear Winter. And of course, you will be a huge part of it as you're going to be in the Winter Rumble, but you're also going to be in the ring against Pride. And I have seen, like everybody else, the war of words that has been going on, it seems like for weeks between the two of you. So set the tables for us here, Callum, on Sportswire Radio, for those that are watching and listening on what we can expect Saturday night.
let me just say this right now. It is not a war of words. It is very one-sided from me, okay? If anyone is winning a war of words, it's me. Pride sounds like Boris Johnson trying to do an impression of The Rock.
Catch that.
Yeah. So whereas I, as a northerner, a proper northerner, speaks properly and actually knows what the hell I'm doing, what I'm saying, I'm intelligent with it. Whereas he just wants to throw little insults out. You know, he's trying to say that I'm a spoilt child because Pride has this idea in his head, and I don't know where the hell this idea came from. But he's got this idea in his head that throughout my whole career, everything's just been handed to me and I've been spoiled. But that's not the case. I've busted my ass off. I'm like I've said before, my body is scarred for life.
You said the first time you were here on Sportswire, and you're still relatively very young. I mean, you're really young still.
21 years of age, and my body's already scarred for life from professional wrestling. What marks has Pride got on him? Because he hasn't got anything on him. He hasn't earned his scars. You know, he hasn't earned his stripes. He's just come into wrestling for, 2 years? And it's the fact that he thinks he can beat me because I've said that the Society won't be there and that I will have a one-on-one wrestling match with him. Now, again, what Pride needs to realize is what happens in the ring happens from the first bell to the end bell, okay? From when the match starts to when the match finishes, that is the wrestling match. What happens before or after? Tough. I don't care.
Well, we'll certainly find out, and I do want to give a comment here that is from Edward Jones from NGW Wrestling, who asked how I'm feeling, and I said, a little bit better. I would have to say this is the first day in about 8 or 9 days that I'm actually feeling somewhat better, Edward. So thank you very much for asking, and I'm sure we'll speak about NGW Wrestling some point very soon, or as in John Wick they would say, real soon. Mr. Sportswire himself, the lawman Kyle Kennedy, who will be in the house in a little while, says, my boy. All right, so let me ask you a question on Pride. And I've been thinking about this because obviously I'm familiar with Pride also from a company called GT Ministries, which I'm sure you're very aware of and you know a little bit as well
Yeah.
about. And do you think, and I'm going to say something I probably shouldn't say, but I'm going to say it anyway
Well,
because I know Pride will catch this. Do you
okay.
think that Pride, maybe because he was in the documentary, he's gotten all this attention and recognition, that maybe some of that attention has led maybe to him think about things differently or maybe see himself in a different light? Is that a possibility? What's your thoughts on that?
And for those of you who prefer someone who speaks bluntly, what he's trying to say is Pride is an egotistical maniac who is way too big for his boots and thinks he has a chance of beating me, forgetting that again, I have 10 years experience in the business. I know what the hell I'm doing. He doesn't. That is the best way to put it. Yes, 100%. Being featured on a documentary on BBC for 30 seconds has gone right to Pride's head.
It's a
Simple
big
as that.
deal, though. I mean, BBC. I mean, just even 30 seconds on BBC is. I mean, very few people can say that they were on BBC. That's why I ask you that question because that does give you a lot of exposure and a lot of notoriety.
Mm. Yeah, it does, and that's great and all, but with that, like with that exposure, you then expose yourself as to how little you actually know, which is again what Pride is going to find out in 2 days' time. Yes, you had 30 seconds on BBC. Yes, you have been noticed and you've had that exposure. Being on BBC ain't going to mean a damn thing when you're in the ring. That's like I don't even know. I can't even think of an example right now, but
Well,
it's just
I'll
it's
give you one. That's almost like if you were, let's say, a WWE extra. That's almost like if you were what they would
yes.
call an enhancement talent in, let's say, any other company. I mean, we've interviewed a couple of different wrestlers that had done that. One guy that I always famously quote is a guy, Chad Parham, who actually trained with AJ Styles, and he was a big guy in the old NWA before it became big what it is now again. And he was an enhancement talent. He actually wrestled Jeff Hardy on Impact. They always quote that. So maybe that's what that is. But I want to ask you a different question. I got an Edward Jones comment, and I'll come back to that in a few minutes. But again, I know in life you're young, but in wrestling terms, you're one of the more elder statesmen in nonstop action wrestling. So how does that continue to make you feel when you have someone like Pride who's had relatively very little in-ring experience compared to
Oh,
you that
it's
does these things?
it's annoying as hell, and I mean this with all respect, by the way, because I'm about to bring up, Wrestling Appreciation Society, who just love me so much.
I've noticed that. I've noticed that.
How many of those guys have had what, one training session, two training sessions, and they're immediately going around saying, I am going to be the best wrestler in Wrestling Appreciation Society. No, you are not, because you're about being in the Deadline Rumble. Who is also in a Deadline Rumble? Me, who has no issue beating the ever loving crap out of people and giving them a warm welcome to professional wrestling? Me. And this again, same with Pride. You think you've had your experience in professional wrestling, but believe me, by the time I'm done with you, you're not going to be able to walk. All right? You're not going to be able to walk. You won't be able to raise your arms. You won't even be able to eat without having to have your food through a tube.
Oof.
Because you have said, honestly, he said that much stuff about me online. And this is the thing, it's
I
the old,
caught it. Listen, I think a lot of people did. I mean, there was a couple of videos from him, a couple of videos from you, and
this is
I
what
mean,
everyone forgets as well, though. Everyone forgets that it's Pride that started this. It's Pride that started making comments when Dan Robertson was on with my name as soon as I left. He's the one who couldn't address me. I had to address him. But yet I'm the bad guy in this scenario. So again, we're just gonna find out really.
we are definitely going to find out, and I am very, very excited to be watching Nonstop Action Wrestling's Nuclear Winter, their sixth consecutive sellout, and you can do that like me on Instagram at NSAW Wrestling UK. And if you have a ticket, make sure to get there very early because there will be a lot of action, a lot of fireworks, and Callum Jakester is going to be a part of that. Let me get to a bunch of comments here first because I'm behind on some of those. Edward Jones says, my ego is a mix of Stone Cold and The Undertaker, LOL. Oh, well, we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in a few weeks. So I'm sure that that's a facetious joke. I appreciate that, Edward, and thank you for your support and kind words as always. Connor Cage, who we're going to talk about in a few minutes, I am sure, with Mr. Sportswire Kyle Kennedy. I'll get your thoughts on that match. Says, don't know Pride well, but he's never backed down before or after that documentary. But I don't think you're necessarily talking about the documentary. You're talking about more about the fact what he's kind of said and maybe his attitude about being in the ring. I think that's kind of where I'm seeing it, correct?
Exactly. And also, Connor, Golden Boy, when did I ask for your opinion? I didn't, so shut the hell up, okay?
Well, we'll certainly, I'm sure, get into that. I want to bring up, by the way, the reigning, defending GT Ministries World Champion, who is going to be in the main event of Nuclear Winter in a title-for-title match, and that is Disciple, of course. Disciple, he is our tribal chief on Sportswire, and he says, good evening. Looking forward to seeing who wins the Rumble this Saturday. After I beat Tommy Dillon for the NSOL World Class Championship, I'll be scouting my next opponent. I almost, should I put you on the record out there? Or, I mean, Tommy Dillon, we saw what happened where those guys were basically, I mean, what a brawl that was between Disciple and Tommy Dillon not too long ago on an Asylum show. I mean, this is going to be really the match. I mean, of all the matches I think I've covered on Sportswire this year, aside from yours, obviously, I mean, this is the match that, I mean, you really don't know where it's going to go.
No, you don't. And it could go either way. Obviously, you have your NSAW diehard fans, you have your GTM diehard fans. You got people rooting for Tommy Dillon, you got people rooting for Disciple. And again, I don't care. It's issues between those two.
It's been a long. This is long overdue, and I said this when Disciple was on the air with us a couple of weeks ago. This is a really long overdue match that probably should have happened, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. But I think the way it's happening now, it's kind of meant to be. And obviously, looking at the run that Disciple has had last week, disposing of easily Maverick Matt Williams at the last GT Ministries Wrestling Church, seeing what Tommy Dillon did to Dante O'Cara and Chris Murphy. I mean, Chris Murphy's no stranger to us. We'll have an announcement later on in the show about Chris Murphy coming back to Sportswire and looking what Disciple has done to the likes of Pride, obviously. I mean, he gave Pride a beating at one of the more recent GT Ministries shows. Dave Douglas, I mean, Gareth Angel, can never forget about that. And also what Tommy Dillon has done as champion. Certainly, it's going to be a very, very intriguing match. Excited to see it, even though I think everybody knows who I'm going for. Taylor Trutz from CCW. Want to give the CCW guys a big shout out here. This guy means business. Go for it, buddy. Retaliation often makes you the bad guy. He wishes you luck, and we wish everybody at CCW a lot of support. And this guy here, his name is Chris Levitt. I don't know if I'm missing something here. He says, evening, boys, Sportswire, baby. He says, Maverick Matt Williams is the star of the future today. Okay. He had another comment, which I'm not going to put on the screen. I don't know if I know him or you know him. He says, CC Dub. Okay, well, I appreciate it.
I do know Chris. Yeah. He's been all right. He's been all right with me, so I can't really complain. He's been all right with me.
All right, well, we like that he's all right with you because that means he's all right with us and we are all right with him. So I want to give Chris a shout out. So, Chris, I apologize if I missed anything. And he has a comment here. So I really can't put on the screen, but and he also says thank you. Okay, so let's come back for a few minutes more on the match. And I want to talk about the match with Pride in a different context. We'll get to the Rumble. We'll get to the Remus Kane, Sammy Blue match. We'll get to Kyle Kennedy as well and some other things. But I've been asking wrestlers this question over the past few weeks is obviously as the year is coming to a close here. And this is your last wrestling match of the year. And this is the last match that we're going to see from you and also from everybody else in Nonstop Action Wrestling for their last event. Do you feel like a win here against Pride and a rather emphatic win, an emphatic victory here against Pride, and in addition to whatever happens in the Rumble, I would have to think is a huge springboard, not just for you in 2023, but the entire society. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's not an if I beat Pride. We know it's when I beat Pride. And also, again, and it's at the Winter Rumble. Out of the entire roster, I don't think anyone has as much experience in Rumbles as I do. Again, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been in my fair share of Rumbles. My first ever match in professional wrestling was a Rumble
I
at
remember
UK, of
that.
all places, you know? So I know exactly what I'm doing. So again, it's not how am I going to fare in the Rumble, it's how is everyone else going to fare in the Rumble when they're in there with me. And the match against Pride, again, it's going to be very, very one sided in my favour. So I'm going to have plenty of energy for the Rumble as well. Simple as
Oh,
that.
well, I could certainly see that you're gonna have some motivation and also some energy as well. And Chris says, "I'm truly a terrible human being." I don't think you're a truly terrible human being, but I appreciate that you're tuning in. And the man that I know that you might have referenced at the beginning of the show. I don't know if you remember that, but that was J. Ro Lewis. Of course, J. Ro we've seen here quite a bit in
Yeah,
many,
yeah.
many other places that you have crossed paths with. And I think we actually owe him an appearance on Sportswire Radio. Maybe that will be one of my early New Year resolutions will be in 23 is to get J. Ro Lewis on. Obviously, he's had some huge, huge success this year. And he says, you
Uh,
upgraded the society, but then he says, but it still absolutely sucks. And then he says, oh, and I lasted 53 minutes in a Rumble. It's going to be harder than you think. Let's talk
well,
about that before I get to a Kyle Kennedy comment. I mean, being in the Rumble, you've talked about the experience and you've talked about what you bring into that. I mean, is there something of truth to what J. Ro Lewis has to say? Because to do 53 minutes in a Rumble, I mean, you think about it in Rumble history and just in WWE, there's very few people that have done something like that. You think about a Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Shawn Michaels, the British Bulldog. I mean, there's some other names, Stone Cold. I mean, it's a very, very few and far between list of names. We could probably list people till all day, but there's very few people that have done that. I mean, is that something that he makes a point on, J. Ro Lewis, that is fair?
I don't know. Did you last 53 minutes of Rumble? I don't know. Anyone can last 53 minutes of Rumble if they just lay at the side of the ring. Like,
Randy Orton did that one year.
exactly. Like, it's, all you have to do is, yeah, like I said, lay at the side of the ring. And yes, absolutely, you can last 53 minutes in a Rumble. But again, I wasn't in that Rumble because if I was, you would have been thrown out a hell of a lot earlier. Simple as that. And I don't care how it happens. You're going. Simple.
And the lawman Kyle Kennedy backs you up there a little bit. He says, and you lost to the society, so hush there, Geester.
This is the thing. Yeah, at Blackheart, Reese came out by himself, Mr. Reese Lightning, had no tag team partner. We come out, me with my new look, looking amazing, because of course I did. And then J-Ro all of a sudden has an issue with society, which we, the boys, we never even knew. We were just like, who the hell? Why is he coming out? And then all of a sudden, you don't like us. You were incredibly racist about my surname, messing it up constantly and making fun of it. But people still cheer because that is just how wrestling crowds work, apparently, which is pathetic. And then you got beaten by us because again we know what we're doing. You can't argue with us. Simple as that. You cannot argue with us.
Well, I've got a couple of comments here from Mr. J. Ro Lewis, and J. Ro says here, I did no laying down, kid. Check it out on the UKW network. He also
Oh,
says, don't act like you don't know me just because you became a fill in the blanks boy for the society. And he also says, Ozzy Osbourne from Wish. So,
says the kitty catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
I could certainly see the music references are flying in here on Sportswire Radio, and if you do want to follow Callum Majakester, I would highly encourage you do follow him on Instagram at Callum_Majakester. Also, follow him on Facebook as well. And also, Nonstop Action Wrestling is on Facebook. They're at the Nonstop Action Wrestling NSAW Wrestling. Also, NSAW Wrestling Universes group is on Facebook. So please join the group and support all the great things that Nonstop Action Wrestling is doing. And J-Ro also says, I'll see you Saturday. So
Very
I
well.
guess you'll look forward to seeing him Saturday then.
I'm sure we will.
That'll definitely be the case. And I kind of feel like also then let's talk about going over to Mr. Sportswire himself because he's going to be here in a little while. The lawman Kyle Kennedy against Connor Cage in a winter spot deciding Rumble match here. Kind of an intriguing storyline here. And I kind of feel like in a lot of ways, I know you haven't fully been in NSAW for all of 22, but I feel like in a lot of ways, Callum, the feud that's kind of been on and off one of the more memorable feuds in some form or another has been Connor Cage and the lawman Kyle Kennedy, Mr. Sportswire himself. And I mean, what do you expect to see here? I mean, obviously, Kyle Kennedy in most forms has handled Connor Cage. And I mean, what do you expect here in this match?
I expect from this match the exact same that's going to happen from mine and Pride's match. It's going to be a squash. It's going to be a squash. The society's going to win, and the society wins the Rumble. I don't care which one of us it is, to be quite honest. Could be me, could be the Lawman, could be Remus Kane. Any one of us is going to win the Rumble. Any one of us is going to win the championship. Okay, I don't care if it's Disciple. I don't care if it's Tommy Dillon. I've faced Tommy Dillon before. Hell of a performer, but this time I'm not going to be afraid to snap his shoulder.
I saw that in another company, sure. I've seen it in another company.
Like I say, if I do wrestling again, I'll have no issue snapping his shoulder out this time, so I won't be scared of it.
But I would also add it's a different Callum Jakester since when you faced off with him earlier in the year.
There you go. But yeah, that's exactly what I expect. I expect Kyle Kennedy to squash Connor Cage like the bug he is.
And Mr. Sportswire, Kyle Kennedy, also wants to chime in. Unfortunately, from recent events, it seems J-Ro has a terrible choice of tag partners.
Thanks.
And the Cult of Killjoy, Dan Robertson, has joined us here. And he says here, oh, no, why is the TikTok emo here? Now, I would say one thing about the Cult of Killjoy, Dan Robertson. He's got his own work cut out for him in his own match because he's got to deal with the Nomad Dalton Garrett and Champagne Charlie. And we had him on last week, and those guys have numerous championship belts between them. And those guys don't seem like they have any love, and they're going to be ready. They're chomping at the bits to get a piece of Dan Robertson. So, I mean, Dan Robertson might have to be focusing on that rather than you and your emo, I guess, reference there.
Dan Robertson is the dumbest wrestler ever because all he's doing is making enemies with absolutely everyone.
Well, those two guys, we had them on. One guy was like 6'9" and Dalton Garrett, who, by the way, had been in the ring with the Knight family. He talked about his own wars. He talked about his experiences with Chris Murphy. Then you had Champagne Charlie, who looked like a recreation of a version of Harley Race and Triple H. I mean, those guys seem like you would definitely not want to get on their bad side.
No, and what does he do? Get on the bad side. It's the exact same thing he's doing with myself, that he's doing with the society. He's now joined the Strangers, which I don't get at all because he's been literally had the crap beaten out of him multiple times by them, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I'm one of them now."
Yeah, well, we heard from him in the past speak about the relationship that he had with his mentor, and then we saw what went on there.
Yeah, I don't get what the hell's going on, and again, he makes comments saying I'm emo and comments about my man bun and stuff like that. It's just like, shut the hell up.
Well, the man bun came back. I would point out, though, that the man bun has made a comeback. I mean, there was a time that people looked at it and said, like, I'll be honest. I mean, listen, as a guy who has long hair like you, I mean, there was a time that, like, you couldn't have long hair and it was, like, frowned upon. Now it's in vogue again. I mean, so I wouldn't worry too much about those things. But let me get to. Yeah, I could see you're not. I do have a few more comments from Kyle Kennedy. He says the last three of the Winter Rumble will be Kyle, Callum, and Remus. Either way, the society wins. So here's my way to settle this for you guys, so you guys all stay on the same page. just one of you decides to finger poke Doom, one of you guys over the.
Oh, I love it. Love it. Finger poke of doom. Oh, bloody hell.
And also, before I get to the next comment from Mr. Sportswire Kyle Kennedy, Dan Robertson says, "Love you too, babes. Can't wait to see the Killjoy lob you out of the Rumble." You have a thought on that?
You can't even toss a coin. How are you going to toss me over the top rope?
Maybe there's something there that I'm missing or you're missing. Anything? Maybe is there a plan? I asked this question to the guys when they were on last week, Dalton Garrett and Champagne Charlie. We're going to be in the ring against Dan Robertson, who's going to be teaming up with Young Horace, and that's going to be an interesting relationship to say the least. But let me ask you then, do you think in a way that there's a plan here? There's an end game that Dan Robertson has, or am I missing something?
I have no clue. Again, Dan Robertson, from what I've seen, is just all talk. It's like with All Hallows Eve, and you keep saying, "Oh, why won't people let it go?" Because you hyped up so much, and then you didn't show up. There are train strikes going on Saturday, and it's going to make it really difficult for me to get to Swinton. But guess what? I'm still getting there.
You know, it's been going on for weeks with these train strikes. I have to say, I check everybody's Facebook timeline. What is going on here? I mean, this is like, do they just not want people to ride the trains? I mean, this is awful. Seriously.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Though I have difficulties getting there. I'm still going. What's your excuse?
Ooh, I'll tell you what, we'll certainly find out. We hope that Dan Robertson makes this one here, although I know that Champagne Charlie and the Nomad Dalton Garrett might be more eager than anyone else to see Dan Robertson, the Cult of Killjoy, and I'm sure we'll definitely get him back on in the coming weeks. And the lawman Kyle Kennedy says, "Oh, you can absolutely count on me rooting the Golden Boys Christmas." Well, I'll tell you what, this could certainly be the Christmas gift that Connor Cage may not want. And Michael Knowles, who's going to be in attendance here coming up this Saturday, says not going to say aught bad about the hair purely because I have long hair myself. Okay, but please, for the love of God, even though I'm not a fan of you, kick Dan's ass, please. That troll up needs his mouth. You know, Michael Knowles. I want to bring this up for a second because Michael Knowles. I think it was the show with Robertson because he was on, I want to say, a week and a half before Champagne Charlie and the Nomad Dalton Garrett came on. Between those two streams, all he has done here is he has gone off like there's no tomorrow on the Cult of Killjoy, Dan Robertson. I almost have to ask, did Dan Robertson spit in Michael Knowles' water or something? Was there something that went on that we don't know about at All Hallows Eve? I mean, it's really one of the more interesting situations because Michael Knowles has just been going off on him every show I'm on.
I have no clue, but Michael, all I will say is, believe me, if me and Dan are in the ring at the same time in the Rumble, you will be becoming a fan of mine. Okay, you will become a fan of me by the time I'm done with him. Everyone, hell, everyone might start wearing society T-shirts if we start making them.
Well, we got to listen to. Well, first of all, let's make that as a follow-up question here on Sportswire, completely off the cuff. I mean, I see almost everybody's got a wrestling shirt these days. I've got Supersonic Sammy Blue, right? He's on Pro Wrestling Tees. I've seen the Cult of Killjoy, obviously, have his shirt. We've seen Champ Rogers, the Super Dad, or the new and improved Champ Rogers. We've seen his shirt out there. We've seen so many other wrestlers that have shirts out there. So I have to ask you then, I mean, where are the society shirts? When are we going to see them, maybe?
I don't know. Why the hell are you asking me? I'm not the one that's in charge of the society. Like, I don't.
Okay,
It'll happen soon. It'll happen soon, I'm sure.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. That's fair. Okay. And the lawman Kyle Kennedy says, "I like Dan." All right. Well, I mean, somebody has to like somebody, right? I guess.
I don't.
Okay. All right. So, certainly, we are here on Sportswire Radio with Callum Majakser. And, of course, again, please follow Callum on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram, Callum_Majakser. Also, like his page on Facebook. I want to give a shout-out to our friends at Nonstop Action Wrestling for all of their support of Sportswire Radio throughout the past year. And you can follow Nonstop Action Wrestling at NSAW Wrestling UK on Instagram, Nonstop Action Wrestling on YouTube, Facebook, Nonstop Action Wrestling Universe, also on Facebook as well. You can also follow Nonstop Action Wrestling on Twitter as well. That's NSAWRES_UK. So please make sure to follow Nonstop Action Wrestling on all of its channels. And if you are not going to be there in Sweden, the only way you can watch the show is on Instagram at the Nonstop Action Wrestling Instagram page. The Nuclear Winter, where Callum and Jakester will be in the ring here. He will not only be in the ring at the Winter Rumble, he will also be in action against Pride in a really, really intriguing match. I think it's going to be one of the more better matches of an already stacked card, and the Society are all going to be in action. Kennedy is going to be in the house in about 25 or 30 minutes or so. He's going to be in the ring against Connor Cage. We are also going to see Remus King, which I'm going to talk about next, for the Northern Division Championship here against Supersonic Sammy Blue. So all great stuff. And my name is the Reverend Tom Rice. And if you like what you hear from Sportswire Radio, please give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. And as I mentioned, we will have on the aforementioned lawman Kyle Kennedy. Also going to have, for our last show of the year on Sportswire Radio, we are going to close it with Chris Murphy, the Irish Wonder. He's going to be with us here, the last show of the year. That'll be later on. I think he's the last one, but we had you on just now. I got to give somebody a shot. I mean,
would you? You could be giving anyone a shot, and you're going for Chris Murphy.
Well, Dan Robertson. Well, I mean, if I said Dan. He's got an announcement. He does have an announcement, which you actually might be curious of. So he's got an announcement. He's our last one. He wants to talk. He's also won a championship since we recently last had him on the air. He's got 2 championships now. So there is something to talk about there. So we're going to have him on, I believe, December the 29th. So mark your calendar there if you desire. That's our last show of the year for wrestling coverage. We're also going to have on the 27th of December. I want to make sure I have this correct. We're going to have on Joel Cobra, who we've seen here in the past in some different companies like GT Ministries, Bolton Town Wrestling, Nonstop Action Wrestling. Of course, he is one half of the Modern Day Mafia, and I have promised to get on Joel Cobra for a long time, and I owe him an appearance. So you might want to be curious to see what Joel Cobra has to say. He's got a lot going on. So it'll be 8 o'clock British Standard Time. So I actually can confirm that because I have the message here from Joel Cobra that we are going to bring him back. And very excited because Joel Cobra has done some commentary in the past also for places like GT Ministries. And Joel Cobra is always a very, very lively interview. So I'm excited about that. So we'll have that as well. And tomorrow we'll have coverage for the LWF's Fightmare Before Christmas with Wildfire Nate Reese and the Scenario Nathan Gunn. So Saturday is a busy day of wrestling shows. So if you had that chance, you had the possibility to buy a ticket to Nuclear Winter from Nonstop Action Wrestling, CCW's Colory Christmas Carol, and the LWF's Fightman Before Christmas. I know all in different places, and we've covered this week all those great shows. So please support all those great companies. But before I get to Remus Kane and Sammy Blue, Michael Knowles has a couple of comments for us here, Callum, and let's read those. Let's get back on track and focus on you rather than Chris Murphy. So he says, I mean, he didn't spit in my water. Not quite, Tom. But he has a lip that needs shutting as he talks a big game but doesn't back it up. By actually showing up, he hides in fear. I think even Callum would agree with that. No, I think you do agree with that.
100%.
And by God, the train strike, I am glad I was told before I managed to arrange and get more friends to support Nonstop Action Wrestling. I want to give Michael a shout out on that because we've had Michael on a lot of our shows the past, I want to say, several weeks on Sportswire, and he has always been spreading the good word about Nonstop Action Wrestling, and he is one of the reasons why we have had 6 consecutive sellouts at Nonstop Action Wrestling, and we've been here for a number of those shows on Sportswire, so I want to give a huge shout out to Michael Knowles for what he's doing and spreading the good word of Nonstop Action Wrestling. So I want to talk about this match in particular, Callum, because I'm excited about this. I kind of saw the back and forth, and we saw some of the highlights on the Nonstop Action Wrestling YouTube page and Instagram pages. And this is going to be for the Northern Division Championship, for the first ever championship. It's going to be your brother in the society, Remus Kane, going to be taking in the ring. He's going to be squaring on with Supersonic Sammy Blue, who's obviously been certainly a high flyer who's been in the ring with a number of different people throughout the ring here on Sportswire that we've covered with it, whether it's Nonstop Action Wrestling and other companies, Blackheart Wrestling, GT Ministries. He certainly made a name for himself, but this is a match that I think the society has a lot of vested interest in. So give me your
Oh,
thoughts
absolutely
here. So
do.
talk about it.
100%. We have a lot, of interest invested in this match, but it's all good investing the interest, but we're not thinking about it too deep because again, we know what the outcome's going to be. We know the outcome is Remus Kane having the Northern Division Championship, and then when he gets that, myself and Kyle Kennedy, or myself and Remus Kane, or however we want to do it, we will be the ones that win the tag team championships and become the first
That was
ever.
my next question.
Tag
That was my
champions.
next
There you
question.
go. See, I'm already thinking. I'm already in your head. I'm already thinking about the What and so I will give you a little spoiler as to how 2023 is going to go for society.
All right, do it because this is rare for us.
We're going to have Remus Kane with the Northern Division Championship. We're going to have the society win the tag team championships, and then whichever one of us wins the Rumble, we will have the NSAW World Class Championship again. I like to point out we did have the championship.
We've talked about that here in the past. I will agree with you on that.
Who knows? Maybe Callum Majakester goes for the GTM Heavyweight Championship. Maybe I go to CCW and get the CCW Championship. Who knows? By the way, that was a little, hint. CCW, message me.
We'll make sure we get that out there to James Barris. I'll make sure.
Knows? Maybe, just maybe, the society goes overseas. Maybe we go to America. Maybe we go France, Spain, Italy. Who knows? Maybe we get some of the gold there as well.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm sure you've heard of Dan Evans, and Dan Evans is all over the place. He's all over the world.
I love Dan Evans. I met him in when was it? 2016, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, 2016. I met him in Tywyn, Wales, and
wow.
my first impression of him was in a Rumble where he used me as a human mop because we were outdoors and it was raining, and I was angry as hell. The next time I saw him, we laughed about it, and he became one of my favorite people to see. I miss him. I need to see him again someday.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that we've actually covered on Sportswire in the past because he's done a lot of work in the LWF. And when I always speak with the LWF guys, they always tell me, and I can say this because they've said this to me off the air, but I'll say it on the air. When they have Dan Evans, it's such a pleasure to have him because everybody in that locker room learns so much from him just because of what he's done all over the world and his success. And obviously, we see the society about to do some of those things here. So I have a few comments. Let me work some of them in. The gentleman thug, Ronnie Thatcher, apparently you had the bat signal on because I don't know if you know this now, Callum, but the gentleman thug, Ronnie Thatcher, is the CEO of CCW Carnage Championship Wrestling, which is kind of the offshoot of Cutlery Championship Wrestling, kind of almost like the adults over the age of 18 kind of CCW. And they have a show coming up on February the 11th. And he also wants to say that, did I hear CCW now? Is that CCW Cutlery or Carnage Championship Wrestling? Would you like to be a part of Carnage Championship Wrestling maybe? Because the gentleman thug, Ronnie Thatcher, might be able to help you there.
Either or both. Give us a message. Simple as that.
I would definitely, if I'm Ronnie Thatcher, get ahead of that and message Callum Majakester because we've had Callum on here a few times and I've got to see him wrestle in GT Ministries against Tommy Dillon, and he would certainly be an excellent asset, I think, to Carnage Championship Wrestling. And Carnage Championship Wrestling has a really, really cool thing that they're doing for those that get involved and support the company. They are actually doing kind of the super fan package where you get 6 shows for £60, plus you get a free Carnage Championship Wrestling shirt. So you get all of their shows starting February the 11th, plus you'll get next year's joint Colory Championship Wrestling, Carnage Championship Wrestling show for their Colory Christmas carols. So I would certainly say anybody that's watching and listening, support our very good friend Ronnie Thatcher, the Gentleman Thug, who, by the way, Callum, is also the Carnage Hardcore Wrestling
Oh,
champion there. He's the champion of CCW Carnage Championship Wrestling. So that might be
that's-
somebody you might want to get to know. This individual who we think that we may or may not know says, much love to you guys. Callum, future star. He's got the looks. He's got the moves. What a handsome killer. I did see the Guns N' Roses banner in the corner of the room. And yeah, he
yeah.
could be somebody that could be in the maybe I almost like see you in like one of those like Appetite for Destruction videos, almost like whether it was a strange November Rain, Don't Cry, live was it Live and Let Die was a no Live and Let Die wasn't a video. You Could Be Mine, all those videos. So I actually I if I would have known you would have had the banner, I would have probably made you really chuckle or maybe really say, wow, can I buy this off you? I actually, as a kid, one of the first things I ever bought, and I'm not that old, but I just had it, was I bought the cassettes of Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, and I still have them. So
Oh, no way,
yeah,
man.
yeah, I
Really?
still have. Yep, that was one of my more prized possessions. I happen to prefer Use Your Illusion 2 more than 1, but that's a different discussion for a different time. Let me see. Oh, Casey Jack Bradley, Society wants gold, but they'll be taking silver, aka second place. I don't
I don't
know
know
about
who
that.
you are, so shut the hell up.
Michael Knowles says, I mean, I only got 3 others to come to the event. One who's practically my lift, to and from the event. Stupid train strike. Yeah, this train strike really has to
He's
really
still
get fixed.
he's still at the show and he's still there to witness me beat the crap out of Pride. So that's all that matters.
All right, so let me ask you a question because I want to come up to the tag titles in a second, and I want to transition. I will give a few minutes to Blackheart as well because obviously a lot of people love what Blackheart does here, and I'm always grateful for their support of us here on Sportswire. When it comes to Remus Kane's match, I have to feel like that this is kind of the icing on the cake, the crowning achievement. I know, yes, you joined the society, that automatically upgraded the society. We also see some other things happening in the society. I don't know if Jenny Hayes is quite a member of the society yet, or if that's sort of in the works. I saw some different things out there on social media. But Remus Kane winning this match, I know your win's going to be important. I know Kyle Kennedy, I'll get to in a little while. I know that story. But I feel like for you guys to win and then to have that singles belt, that I know the world class title we held for a brief moment, to be able to capture this, the first, I can remember, the first ever is a big deal. Nobody
Oh,
could take that away. That you are the first ever Northern Division Championship. I have to feel like for all of you in the society and MX Knights as well, that this has to be the crowning achievement for everything
oh,
that you guys have been. Talk to me about that.
100%. I mean, and again, we're all, we're excited for Remus. We know he's going to win the championship, but it's also we're excited for all of us because he wins that championship, and that is the start. That is the beginning of the rise of the society. That is the beginning because, like I said before, it starts with the Northern Division. Then it becomes the tag belts, the world class, other promotions, championships. That's all it takes is that first one.
Right, I still feel like symbolically to be the first ever. I always think about in wrestling. We always remember who was the first Intercontinental Champion. It was Pat Patterson. Who was the first ever European Champion? It was a thing, the British Bulldog. You think about all the first. Who was the first ever Undisputed Champion? Remember, it was Chris Jericho winning both belts, the WCW belt, and at the time the WWF belt. There's always a first. People always remember that first champion. So I kind of feel like in a lot of ways, Remus winning this here for the society, it's almost like the icing on the cake. It's the
Oh yeah,
coronation of what the society has done here. So before I get to the tag titles, I do have a couple of comments. First, I want to bring in Matt Royale, who we saw his return in the ring at Nonstop
finally,
Action Wrestling most recently. So anything you'd like to say to Matt Royale, who we've had here in the past, and any thoughts with Matt Royale?
yeah, finally you've come back to wrestling because the last time I saw Matt Royal in a ring was it was like late 2021. So it's been like over a year. I still kick the crap out of you, still threw you out the ring,
I remember
but
we spoke about that.
But it's good to see you back in the ring, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to. Oh my God, this is weird. I'm being nice, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you do.
Yeah, I'm not used to this. We've had you on a couple of times since you've joined the society
It's
now.
just weird. Ugh, I threw up in
All
my
right,
mouth.
so let's walk back that a little bit. Michael Knowles says, I mean, no offense, cool that you're a Guns N' Roses fan, but I'm going for one reason and one only, and that's to finally see someone shut up and don't need to say names as well as yeah, we know that you don't like that individual, and I got that, and I'm sure you'll continue to say that when Kyle Kennedy comes on here in 15 minutes. But I really want to talk about also another first, and that is at the Tommy Dillon tribute, charity show. We're going to see February the 4th for the Kirkwood Hospice, I believe that it is going to be for, and obviously that goes a long way. We spoke with Tommy about that in the past on Sportswire Radio, and we're going to see our first ever tag team champions in nonstop action wrestling are going to be crowned at that show, and I'm sure that you and the rest of the society are going to be a huge part of that. And talk to
Oh,
me about what that would mean, let's say, to be in that tournament and let's say crown our first ever nonstop action wrestling tag team champions and
well,
holding that gold.
again, one thing that I want to point out again is, I'll say forever, 10 years in wrestling, 10 years since I had my first ever training session. I've not once held a championship, which is shocking when you think, unfortunately, my career, being told, hey, you will get your opportunity, and then that opportunity never arising. You know, TNT Explosive Wrestling, hey, you're gonna face Gareth Angel for the heavyweight championship. Okay, he goes on a break. Gareth Angel takes a break. Then COVID happens, and then they put Gareth Angel against Cameron Carlisle. He gets the belt, and it just doesn't happen. You know, Same with other promotions I've worked for. Being promised championship runs, and it doesn't happen. This is not a being promised thing anymore. This is happening. We are taking this, and we do not care what you say. We do not care who we have to hurt. The society will be the first ever NSAW Tag Team Champions, and Callum Majakester, until further notice, will be holding his first ever championship in professional wrestling. That's all that needs to be said about that.
Let me ask you a follow up question, and I'll spend a few minutes on Black Card Wrestling because I do want to mention them. I could see that it means something to you to hold gold. You've been in the business for 10 years now, and I've asked wrestlers this question that haven't either held the title in that long or had just won a title recently. I think about a guy we had on in the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson. I'd asked him this question. He hadn't been a champion almost, he's going on 16, now 17 years. I just had on a guy a month earlier, the chairman, JDT and a company, Wrestling Championship Entertainment, who won his first championship in 25 years. Reynaldo, the former LWF champion, I had him on when he just won the LWF title against Nick Cutter in last year's LWF Fight Man before Christmas. But I have to feel like that. It would mean something more to you than even, let's say, Remus or let's say Kyle Kennedy or anybody else that might be your brethren because you've been in there for 10 years. And you mentioned Gareth Angel, and I know Gareth Angel. You mentioned Cayman Carlisle, somebody else I know very well. So I would have to think then that that's got to be the number one goal for you then
Oh,
is to win
100%.
your first championship. Go ahead, talk
Oh,
to me.
100%. 2023, I will be holding gold. That's not hoping. That's not me just saying. That's a spoiler. Like I will in 2023 be holding gold. I don't care what company it's for. I don't care what championship it is. There will be gold. Simple as that. I'm not
I
being a nice person anymore. I'm sick of it. I'm not being Mr. Nice Guy. It's happening.
Well, I'll tell you what, I got a very, very strong feeling about that. And I have a very strong feeling that's going to happen. And it could happen as soon as, let's say, February the 4th at the Tommy Dillon charity event. And of course, for more information, you can get onto Tommy Dillon's social media pages, Nonstop Action Wrestling as well, also shares it. So I want to spend a few minutes on Blackheart Wrestling. Obviously, their shows have all conducted, and we're going into 23. And kind of an interesting year for you in Blackheart Wrestling, and talk to me about Blackheart Wrestling since we last spoke.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Nothing's changed about my opinion of Blackheart. I love Blackheart. Blackheart really, really gave me an opportunity. When I debuted in what was it, March? Yeah, I think wait, was it? No, it was April. Yes, April. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. April, I debuted for Blackheart alongside JPR against MGM. We lost, but it's been my busiest year. 2022 has been my busiest year in professional wrestling, and even with like personal stuff going on around, the middle of the year, July, August, September. I credit Blackheart. They have been there for me. They have helped. They have supported me. But I, like J-Ro Lewis, have had terrible taste in tag team partners, aka Reese Lightning.
We spoke about that. Yep.
Exactly, and the thing is, people think that this is me joining the society is like an attitude change. It's no, there was no. The only thing that changed was I was getting more and more fed up being treated like a joke. I mean, again, J-Ro Lewis loves getting involved in people's. I wrestled Cerebral Steve, and J-Ro couldn't help himself but to get involved, and he's done the exact same thing again with Reese Lightning. He got himself involved in a match that was none of his business, and now he's going to be paying the price for it. Come Nuclear Winter, come possibly any other Blackout show. If we get put in the ring together, it's going to be hell for him. Simple. I don't care. Yeah.
Well, I got a feeling that there's going to be hell to pay for whoever crosses the ring with Callum and Jakester coming up here, whether it's in Blackheart Wrestling, whether it's in Nonstop Action Wrestling, Wrestling Appreciation Society. Let me get to a bunch of comments here. Ronnie Thatcher, the gentleman thug, I want to bring his up first. He says, Callum, don't wait for the opportunity to come knock on your door. Go to opportunity's doors, break it down, and take what you deserve. So that's
Tell me your
coming from.
address, Len. Tell me your address, and I'll come to your door, Len. Simple as that.
Well, it sounds like figure it out, and maybe we'll see what happens. Also, we have here from Matt Royale, a lot of respect for you, Callum, but I don't respect what you've been doing in Nonstop Action Wrestling. What changed? You kind of addressed it though just before, though.
Yeah, I really couldn't care less if you respect it or not. You respect me, and you just said that. You respect me. You don't have to respect what I'm doing. Simple as that. Like, what changed? Well, nothing changed. I got fed up. I got fed up being seen as a joke, like I just said. We've spent so long training together. You of all people should have seen this coming.
Well, I think Matt Royale is going to find out one way or another when you guys cross the paths very, very soon. Andrew Hanley, always want to give Andrew a great shout out. Says, good evening, everyone. Andrew always loves what we do here on Sportswire. So thank you, Andrew, for tuning in. Also, Michael Knowles says, doesn't matter if you're part of a faction. There's always a thought in every wrestler's mind to seek gold. Otherwise, why would they be in the business? Well, listen, but there's also knowing that, like with the society where you have such strong members, that they work together still as a team to make
Oh
sure
yeah.
that each individual stays successful, whether that's Callum, whether that's Remus, whether that's Kyle Kennedy. They make sure at the end of the day that they look out for each other. That's why they're going to have a lot of success, and that's going to continue coming up here at Nuclear Winter here. And Matt Royale says, I guess I just expected more. So let me ask you a couple quick more questions before we get to Mr. Sportswire himself, the lawman Kyle Kennedy. First, I want to ask you, give me your closing words to Pride before Saturday night.
Oh God. Is it even worth giving last words to Pride? Seriously, like you know what? Yeah, I do have last words. Pride, you brought this on yourself, mate. If you had issues with me, you could have addressed me personally, but instead you had to wait and you had to go behind my back. So what happens on Saturday at Nuclear Winter? That's on you. I promised you a one-on-one wrestling match, but you're going to be taught. You're going to be taught a lesson that you're going to wish you never signed up for.
Short, sweet, and to the point, and simple. That's certainly how Callum Jakester knows how to do it here. And I want to ask you then also, what does it mean to you to be a part of a 6th consecutive sellout in nonstop action wrestling's nuclear winner.
It's a huge deal, and again, the society we're viewed as the bad guys, but we still have hearts. It's a show for charity. We may be horrible, but we're not that horrible. We respect charity. We love what charities do for those in need to help out, and that's exactly what we want to do, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
And I want to give the link out to those that might want to check that out, which you can find on the Nonstop Action Wrestling YouTube page, that is, and Instagram, which is NSAW Wrestling UK and Instagram. You can go to justgiving.com /fundraising /NSAW UTM source equals copy link and UTM medium equals fundraiser. You can see the link, the full link, on the Nonstop Action Wrestling Instagram page. If you can, please support Nonstop Action Wrestling and this very, very noble cause. I know at the show there will also be some places where you can give your donations and some other things as well to help out all the great things that the company is doing. And I want to congratulate Joshua Snow and Richard Knights for their hard work here and working on this, and everybody else that's been involved. So, and speaking of MX Knights, he is in the house. The society may be the bad guys, but we're not the Tories. Happy to help fundraise for a great cause. Well, that's why we support everything that everyone does here at Nonstop Action Wrestling. And Matt Royale says, "I guess I just expected more." Well, I guess you'll have to figure that out on your own. And I want to ask you then this last question before I get to closing thoughts. What do you want to say to anybody that's watched you in the ring this year, or anybody that's supported you, or anybody that's done anything to kind of engage with you here in 2022, now that we're going into 23 here, and this weekend's going to be the last time that we see you in the ring?
Well, obviously, everyone's seen that 2022 has been the busiest year of my 10-year career. All I can say is you can sure as hell expect more, and you can expect an even busier year for the upgrade, Callum Jakester.
Well, I'll tell you what, I got a very good feeling after what I saw from the gentleman thug, Ronnie Thatcher, that we could be seeing him in some different places like Carnage Championship Wrestling. And, of course, Blackheart Wrestling. Always love what Blackheart does. Who knows? Maybe GTM. Obviously, we do a lot of coverage of GT Ministries. Yep. So I'm sure that they'll definitely find a way to figure all that stuff out. But I know one thing. Callum Jakester is going to be a huge part of things over at Nonstop Action Wrestling. Nonstop, never stop. And the society all rise, because it's going to be a huge week and a coronation, I think, for the society. Is certainly Callum Jakester's match against Pride. Also, Remus Kane for the Northern Division Championship against Supersonic Sammy Blue. And our guest in a couple of minutes here, Mr. Sportswire, the lawman, Kyle Kennedy. So, Callum, I want to give you the floor, my friend, and anything else you want to plug, share, say for us here on Sportswire Radio. And I thank you for giving us this opportunity. I thank you for all that you've done and given us the floor, and anything else you've done out there in the ring. Always love what you do out there. And before I give you the floor, GT Ministries management has given us a little message here for you that says we're always watching. So almost kind of like the bat signal. We're almost like the bat signal on Sportswire at this point. So, I had nothing to do with it. I can tell you that I didn't message any promoter on this one. We just kind of let it all happen organically. But floor is yours, my friend, and thank you for all that you've done, and fire away.
You. Well, like I say, all you have to do is keep an eye out for me next year, because it's going to be a much bigger and a much better year for Callum Jakester, whether that be on good terms with people, whether that be on bad terms with people. If you expect more, like Matt Royale, then you will be getting more, but just not in the way that you expect. Also, Matt, say hi to your mum for me. I know she misses me. Just a little joke.
Wow. Merry Christmas there from Callum Jakester, and certainly Happy New Year, and happy Hanukkah, whatever else you want to throw out there. Happy Kwanzaa as well. Three Kings Day, I know, is later on in January, but certainly he is in the holiday spirit. But if you want to follow Callum Majakester, I can't stress this enough. Callum_Majakester on Instagram. Also follow his page on Facebook as well. Nonstop Action Wrestling pages as well. Please continue to support all of the great things that they do. And my friend, obviously, I want to wish you a lot of luck out there this Saturday. I know you won't need it, but I look forward to watching you and the rest of the society and the entire card here on Instagram one more time at NSAW Wrestling UK. And congratulations on all of the success this year. I'm looking forward to an even bigger 23 for you, and I have a feeling that we're going to be speaking with you much, much more throughout the year of 23. And happy holidays, happy new year, and I look forward to more from you. And thank you again, and best wishes out there, my friend.
Thank you, man. Merry Christmas.
All right, as we are here on Sportswire Radio with Callum Majakester of the Society, who's going to be in the ring here coming up this Saturday. I would say a little less than 48 hours from now, he'll be in the ring against Pride, and it'll be an interesting grudge match, to say the least here. Very, very excited about this match, plus much, much more from the Society and Nonstop Action Wrestling. So if you can, one more time, please follow Nonstop Action Wrestling, NSAW Wrestling UK, and also Callum_Majakester on Instagram. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We are just waiting now for the lawman, Kyle Kennedy. We'll say goodbye to Callum now. And as we are here on Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station. And again, if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, you can give us a like anytime. And we are here without further ado. And I'm excited about this one, ladies and gentlemen, because anytime we get a chance to speak with this guest, and I want to say this on the air so he can hear this. So in 2022, I think of all the people that I've interviewed, he is one of my favorites. I'm not blowing smoke, because anytime I watch a vlog of his, anything I get a chance to watch him in the ring, he's a special guy. He's a very special person to us here on Sportswire Radio. So even though I'm under the weather, I want to give him the right comment here. So, wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report, #1 global sports show, pro wrestling star here, and the one and only, Mr. Sportswire, the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy. All rise to the Society, and all rise to Mr. Sportswire. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I've missed that, and I've missed you. I'm very well, Tom. How are you?
I'm very well, my friend. Always good to speak with you, my friend. A lot to get into here, and I already have some comments. And Michael Knowles, who's kind of been our unofficial #1 fan of Nonstop Action Wrestling, I must say, says the Mr. Sportswire. And GT Ministries wants to say Merry Christmas to me. Thank you so much. And I'll talk about them, I'm sure, in a little while. Again, I'll also bring up some other companies with you, Mr. Sportswire, the Lawman, Kyle Kennedy. But I just had on your brother in the Society, Callum Majakester, and we spoke a little bit about you in this match here. And, I want to think of the feuds that we've had here in Nonstop Action Wrestling. I feel like on and off, you and Connor Cage, for some reason, have been intertwined. And yet again, you guys are intertwined here in this Winter Rumble spot decider match, whatever you want to call it. And I mean, I saw you guys last in a triple threat match, and you disposed of Champ Rogers pretty easily. And I mean, you got to be feeling pretty good about going into this match, because after what you did in that match, and Connor was a part of it. So, I mean, set the tables for us on how you're feeling here going into Nonstop Action Wrestling's Nuclear Winter here, just about 48 hours from now.
I've had a bit of time off, and I'm feeling chipper as ever. Beating Champ Rogers again is vindication, and on Saturday at Nuclear Winter, I'm going to beat Connor Cage. Now, this whole spot decider thing, it's whatever. It's irrelevant at this point. I'm winning the Winter Rumble no matter what. So I'll go in at #1 like I did last year.
That's
and
right.
I'll last. and I'll go in at number 1 or 2 or 3 or so on, and I'll still win. I'm going to beat Conor Cage. I'm going to get my vengeance, because he's been riding on that win from Fire and Gold. He's been non-stop chatting about, 6-1. Oh, I beat you at Fire and Gold. Oh. That's in the past. You're living in the past, boy. I'm looking to the future, and the future isn't Conor Cage. It's not Sammy Blue. It's not any of these plebeians in the comments. It's no one else except the society, and it's no one else but the lawman.
Well, I'll tell you what, I would say one thing. The lawman, Kyle Kennedy, has had an extremely impressive year, because I have seen him in several other companies, and he has done a lot of huge things. And I do have some comments. Some people you might like to see. Callum Jakes, who is just with us, says, my guy. Also want to give a shout out to a guy from a company that you're familiar with, and we were unfortunately supposed to see you in the ring there for a championship match, and that was CCW Coloring Championship Wrestling, and that is, of course, Hybrid. I really enjoyed having Hybrid on, and Hybrid would be, and I'm just throwing this out there, and I'm sure James Barris may catch this, would be an excellent opponent to see you match up with one day. That is Hybrid. Hybrid, a former MMA wrestler, is going to be wrestling for the Light in the Dark Championship there against Prince Dagan, and he says, followed a bit of your work, Lawman. Impressive stuff. I mean, can I just go off the cuff? Can I just go totally off a little bit of nonstop action wrestling and say, Mr. Sportswire, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, if I had the pen, if I had the book here for the wrestling bookers, if they may want to call it, not that we're bookers here on Sportswire, I would love to see in a CCW ring or any other ring, you and this guy Hybrid. I'm telling you, you and Hybrid would be a match that I think a lot of people would pay a lot of pounds for.
It'd be my pleasure, absolute pleasure, and I appreciate the thumbs up, Mr. Hybrid. I'll be honest, I'm not too familiar with you, but I will
He
be
just came
sure.
to CCW. I'm telling you, check him out. He's impressive.
I'll certainly check out your stuff, my friend. I appreciate the kind words, and hopefully, as Mr. Bryce says, anywhere, anytime, any ring, any company, the Lawman and the Hybrid gonna make that cash. Anyone, somebody out there, book it, and we will steal the show, tear the house down. Anybody, somebody, book it. I'm down.
I think it would be an excellent opportunity. And before I get to Hybrid's response, Andrew Hanley says, good evening, Lawman. Love Andrew. Obviously, Andrew, always a big fan of us here on Sportswire. So Andrew's awesome. Thank you, Andrew, for all of your support. And I want to give a shout out also, before I get to Hybrid, to our friends over at Wrestling Championship Entertainment, who we spoke about with you in the past, and they say good evening. So shout outs to our brethren in the state of Wisconsin in the Midwest here in the United States. But Hybrid says, I'm sure we would tear the house down, brother. You know, and I want to bring this up also for a second, because I feel like, Mr. Sportswire, if I could say this, if you don't mind me saying this, if I could be an advocate for you in a second, I feel like there's unfinished business for you in CCW, because I really felt like you were going to win their championship a few months back. So I would have to think there's unfinished business for you in CCW, if I could say that.
Unfortunately, injuries happen. And I had to pull out. But as I've talked to Mr. Barris, and as soon as he wants me back, I will be back at the Underground. Whether it's Hybrid, whether it's the Light in the Dark, whether it's the Carnage, whether it's the heavyweight title, anyone, anywhere, any championship. I'm sick of waiting my turn. As Callum said, I'm taking everything. I'm done waiting.
Well, I'll tell you what, James Barris, who certainly is no stranger to us on Sportswire Radio, certainly I think you know what you need to do, and that is to get in touch with Mr. Sportswire, the lawman, Kyle Kennedy, and also Ronnie Thatcher, the gentleman thug, who is now the CEO of, as you pointed out, Carnage Championship Wrestling.
Yep.
Certainly get in touch with Kyle Kennedy, because I know he was speaking with Callum, who was on here just a few short minutes ago, and I could certainly see two for the price of one. And I want to give a shout out to Carnage Championship Wrestling because they're doing a super fan package. So you go and get their 5 shows plus the bonus show that they're going to do a joint show next Christmas for a Colory Christmas Carol Carnage Championship Wrestling, 60 pounds and a free Carnage Championship Wrestling show. Want to give a shout out to Jenny Hayes, the rock idol of the UK, says, greetings to the lawman, a great representation for the society. I think I said in it with Callum, I guess Jenny might be with the society or might not with the society. I didn't want to get too ahead of myself, but I did notice some different things there. And obviously, Jenny, you like Jenny these days? Or how you feeling towards Jenny? You okay with Jenny?
I've grown, I've warmed up to her. Initially, within NSAW especially, I don't know what it was, but she seemed to have a grudge. We never did or said anything to her,
Right.
but over the past few months, she just seemed to have it out for us. But lately, I think she may have, ironically as well, the dark side, she may have seen the light side. So, all aboard the Rock Idol Express, and hey, she's one of us. If she is, she isn't, doesn't matter. She's a phenomenal talent. I'll give her dues. But, I'm believe it or not, I'm a big fan of the Rock Idol.
She's a phenomenal singer. I listen to her stuff every now and then. So she's a big star. She's a big deal in the anime world and all the J-pop, I think is it J-pop? I'm pretty sure it is, and all that stuff. I believe it's J-pop because I remember speaking about this with Jenny, and I know obviously Marty Friedman is a huge part of that world. So Jenny is awesome. Regardless, I'll leave that with Jenny and the society for another time. But I mean, with kind of Cage, I feel like in a lot of ways here that a match like this is management again trying to throw a curveball to it? Because I feel like you've had this like odd relationship with management. I know you have MX Knights, but the rest of management, we've seen what happened with you and Snow months ago, and everything else that's going on there. I mean, what do you think on that?
You mentioned that, and it's like I've been saying all along. I keep getting pushed to the back, and people don't like it. What don't people? They don't like me because I speak the truth. And what do people not like hearing the most of? The truth. Hence why they don't like me. And that's okay, because I don't like them. I'm not here for their approval. I'm here to hurt people, win, leave. But it's like I've been saying, Conor Cage announced for the Rumble. Where's the Kyle Kennedy announcement? Nowhere to be found. Conor Cage announced for Fire and Gold. Again, I was nowhere to be seen until I had to connive my way into it. And then we've got people like Sammy Blue, who I've beaten. I've beaten Conor Cage.
We're getting to him. We're going to get to him. Don't you worry.
I've beaten Sammy Blue. And yet, these people that I've beaten, and these people that aren't as good as me and don't deserve to be above me, these people are getting their opportunities and promoted and talked about and sang the praises of and put in rumbles and tournaments and championship matches when actual stars like me aren't even given a whisper. It's ridiculous. And I cannot wait this Saturday for Sammy Blue and his happy blue little ass to be humbled as those morons of the crowd chant Supersonic or Sammy Blue or whatever they want to chant. I couldn't care less. He looks as ridiculous as anything. Why would you have your hair like that in the first place? Well, I cannot wait for him to be humbled. Remus is going to tear him to shreds, just like we tore him and his little Guardians of the Gallifrey friends up a few months back at Summertime Slaughterhouse. We're going to do it again this Saturday, and I cannot wait. And it's even better because it's for a championship. Finally, the society are finally given a fair shot. And you know what? If it's not Callum Majakester, the upgrade, if it's not Kyle Kennedy, the lawman, you're damn right. It deserves to be the overlord, the leader, Remus Kane.
I'm going to come to that, and I'm going to ask you, because I asked Callum some of those thoughts as well from him, and I'm going to get them from you in a second. Callum agrees with you, and then I know you're going to get very upset when I bring this person on, and that's Donnie Franchise, of course, the man of Wrestling Appreciation Society, says, I swear this guy is transitioning from a wrestler to a radio show co-host. At least some of us are putting our grind in to shake up the business. The more man, more like, and that's an emoji here.
Continue, Tom. Continue.
I don't have any further comments. Do you want to say something to Donnie Franchise? Feel free.
Was it? Bring up that comment about whatever it was about his other one.
Oh, the Boreman? Yeah, the Boreman, yeah.
Not that one, the other one about putting in the grind or something.
Yes, putting in the grind to shake up the business.
What have you done? What have you done?
Taking some bumps?
Yeah, there we go. You've taken some bumps. You've appeared in the crowd more at shows than you have stepped in the ring. So let me tell you what I've done. To bust my ass. I got hurt really bad and I was in agony. I did triple duty at All Hallows Eve. What have you done? Let me tell you what I've done. I was world-class champion. I beat everybody's favourite world-class, the wild card, Tommy Dillon, and then it was ripped away from me. I put Gareth Angel on his ass in front of his Holy Communion. I've dominated Blackheart since I arrived. I put asses in seats at NSAW and the Asylum since day one. And I brought eyes and views to your scummy little company, WAS. What have you done? That's the question. I've been busting my ass and putting the grind in. What have you done? Nothing except, what? Cut a few little promos saying about how I'm a bad friend and how our friendship is over and tried to put it on me when you're the one that called me out. And then, again, as Tom funnily mentioned, he's done a few cool little flips and some bumps.
I did see the video on social media, by the way, where they were taking the bumps.
I'm a big fat lad and I can flip and bump. And guess what? I can wrestle. That's why I'm booked on all these shows. But what are you doing? What are you ever going to do? Nothing. As soon as Deadline is over, you're done in wrestling. Thanks to me, thanks to Non-Stop Action Wrestling, you're getting your dream and your opportunity. And I'm going to squash it, just like I'm going to squash you on April 29th at Deadline. You're a pathetic little fan, just like every other moron in this comment section, just like all the people that are going to see me beat Connor and win the Rumble, just like they're going to see future Blackheart shows, at future CCW shows, future NSAW shows, and Deadline on April 29th. There's your cheap plug. You're welcome.
Well, I do have some comments, so let me bring up some of the comments because people, as always, want to talk with you. Callum does say, shut the hell up, Donnie. You're not even relevant in the world of wrestling. He also goes on, please do give me a wonderful birthday present at Deadline, Lawman, and kick his ass. So happy early birthday to you, Callum. So certainly I'm sure Mr. Sportswire, the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, will do his best. And also, please follow him on Instagram, Mr. Justice Kyle Kennedy, the Lawman K Kennedy on Twitter, also YouTube and Facebook. Also, please support and follow his pages and all the great things that he does in the meantime. Michael Knowles, it seems like you've won him over. He's actually been, I think I've mentioned this now, he's kind of like the #1 nonstop action wrestling supporter now. To be honest, we can't argue. He got me coming frequently to shows. So you know what? You did win somebody over. You won Michael Knowles over. And he's bringing people to Nuclear Winter. And he's one of the reasons why Nuclear Winter is 6 consecutive sellouts now for Nonstop Action Wrestling. But Donnie Franchise does have something to say. And he puts in caps lock, Deadline is the opportunity. I need to prove you wrong. I keep saying this. That's the shot I'm going to grasp to make a difference. It takes one night to make myself known to you and UK wrestling. Let me ask you a question. And I wasn't going to talk about this, but I almost have to, I guess, ask this question because you do see this sometimes in wrestling. For example, last night on AEW Dynamite, Chris Jericho took lightly his opponent and he lost. Is there a possibility that Donnie Franchise is trying to get you to take him lightly so he can get you off your game? Is that a possibility?
Listen, he's trying, but luckily for me, I'm built different. As much as I talk and whatever, that's part of my game plan. You don't get in my head, I get in yours. It's over before it's even began. I do not ever underestimate my opponents, because I know they can beat me. I'm not stupid. It's easy in wrestling to beat someone. Just look at a quick little roll-up. It's that easy to get a quick 1, 2, 3. So no, I'm not taking you lightly, Donnie. I'm just not taking you seriously because you're a fan who was a friend who's going to become a failure.
And Callum also wants to remind me there's no trying to take him lightly. He's taken lightly by everyone. Okay.
Well,
Savannah says hi, Mr. Lawman. So Savannah says hello to you. So we want to thank we want to thank her for tuning in there as well. I mean, I shouldn't make a joke with this, but I'm going to do it because we're live. At the very least, Donnie Franchise could have commented on the new hair color. No, that would be maybe the what.
I mean, you can't deny it looks bloody amazing, doesn't it? I do look good.
I was going to say the new hair color. It looks good on you. I say it looks different.
Thank you.
It looks good on you.
Next up is mine shots. That's what I'm going for.
I don't know if you're the lawman. You are the lawman. I certainly will say do what you feel is best and fight Rex Savage. That'll be a good fight. Is that something you have an interest in? Fighting Rex Savage?
I'll fight anyone. It's big, small, skinny, not skinny. Anyone. Boy, girl, no matter. It don't matter. I will fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. I'm a prize fighter, baby. Get in that ring, quick one and done, get the money, go home. End of discussion. So I'll fight Rex Savage. I'll fight his mom. I'll fight anyone. I'll fight you, Tom. I'll fight any of your family. I don't care.
Here would be my advice if I'm in the ring with you. This is the advice I'm going to give to Conor Cage. Just forfeit. Just don't show up. Just don't bother. Just say, you know what? Listen, I forfeit. I'm not going to show up to Nuclear Winter. Be strong.
I'm lucky for that because I actually like you. So I would take you lightly, but I don't like Conor.
I understand that. We spoke about this. I feel like, listen, that's why I brought it up with Callum and I bring it up with you. I feel like we've been talking about you and Conor Cage for like 7-8 months now. I mean, to me, it just seems like nonstop action wrestling doesn't want it to end between you and Conor Cage. They don't want it to end, but to me, it ended at All Hallows Eve, and it ended long ago.
I mean, you say that. Ironically, you say it's like they don't want it to end. Well, no, actually, what it is, it's they don't want me on top. They don't.
Well, that might be so. That might be so.
They announced Conor for the Rumble. Where am I? They announced Conor for the Fire and Gold tournament. Where was I? They announced everyone else. They give. I've mentioned this on the comments, so I'm going to do it publicly on the show. They let an outsider. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Copperhead. They let Disciple come into my company and take my championship match, which I'm rightfully owed, like it or not, because believe it or not, in the rules of wrestling,
you get a rematch. I'll give you that.
Exactly. The match was not reversed. The decision wasn't reversed. Henceforth, that meant if the match was reversed and the decision was reversed, the title does go back to Tommy. But guess what? It wasn't. The match was restarted. Henceforth, meaning the match was over. I beat Tommy, world-class champion, and then champ. And Tommy and all his little band of weirdos came out to the ring and was like, no, naughty Kyle. And coerced all the audience and management to restart the match. I'm technically, like it or not, a former world-class champion, regardless of how long I held that for. The match was not reversed. The decision was not reversed. The match was restarted. The previous match ended, and I won throughout whatever decision or trickery there was. It doesn't matter if mixed knights countered fast. It doesn't matter. The bell rang. Jenny announced me as champion. I was champion.
You were champion. No, I have brought that up on Sportswire. You were the champion. So let me ask you then a follow-up toward that. So let me throw something out here. And I don't know if we're able to change anything here on Sportswire. I have a whole bunch of comments here. You definitely triggered people here, but so I'll try to keep this brief and short.
Good.
If I were to say to you then, instead of doing Disciple and Tommy Dillon, they added you, let's say, to make it a three-way match, would you be all right with that?
They could have done that. They still can do that. We've got 2 days. They won't because they're scared. The only reason why Remus was in this, I'm sure I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I don't care. The only reason why Remus of the Society was added in to the Northern Division tournament was because myself, Callum Majakester, and Mixed Knights threatened to walk out of Non-Stop Action Wrestling. They didn't want me in the tournament because apparently I've already ruffled enough feathers. They feel like Callum hasn't proved himself enough yet, which is utter BS. That's disgusting. He has 10 years experience, how dare you? So they thought, last resort, Remus Kane. So they put Remus in there. And do you know what's happened? And do you know what's going to happen? The end. The end of all of this. And everyone is going to eat their own words. Because when Sammy Blue lays down on that mat and he gets the final light, bang! 1, 2, 3. And new Northern Division champion of Non-Stop Action Wrestling, representing the Society, Remus Kane. And a lot of people aren't going to like that, but you know what? We do not give a damn.
Well, I certainly expect that to happen, and certainly you can watch the card if you are like me or on the other side of the world on Instagram at NSAW Wrestling UK, where you can watch the Nuclear Winter, and you can see the rest of the card, including the lawman Kyle Kennedy, who will be pulling double duty against Connor Cage. He'll also be a part of the Winter Rumble. We'll also see Remus Kane, who we have some comments from. He'll be in there for the Northern Division Championship against Supersonic Sammy Blue. Callum Majakester is going to also be in action. He's going to be against Pride, but I have several comments, and I'd like to read them because people always want to comment and talk to you. Michael Nolan says, I have respect for both of these men. Wish them a great match at Deadline, but I don't think you can get in the lawman's head. He isn't, like Tom said, Y2J. I agree with you, Michael. I would gladly step in the ring with you if I could, lawman, but I know I would regret it. Smart words. Remus Kane. Certainly, I want to speak about Remus again in a second here. Remus says, this only proves that they are scared of us, brother, and they have every right to be. He also says, but don't worry, gold will be around our waist for us, so-called young bloods. Jenny Hayes says, Mr. Lawman, it is a lesson to be learned. Don't let the anger consume you. Let it ignite your flame. The battle is lost, but the war isn't. Did you write that as like lyrics in a song, Jenny? It sounds like a song you might have wrote. Maybe I'm just missing something here. Also, a few more comments from Remus and Mixed Knights before I get to Lawrence Breeze. Remus says, I've had a taste of singles gold already. Yes, I have seen that before. I have a lust for that gold now, and I need it. I must have it, and no bisexual blue boy will hold me back. MX Knight says the Northern Division Championship is sat patiently waiting for its new owner. And Lawrence Breeze says, did I book that one? I don't know. Maybe. I guess we'll figure it out. But let me ask you a question on the Remus Kane Sammy Blue match again for a second, because I had said this with Callum, and I want to get your perspective on it, because I feel like in a lot of ways this is a big deal. I know that you were the world champion, you were the world-class title holder there, and I have no doubt that you'll get that title back again. But in a lot of ways in wrestling, people remember the first. The first champion is a big deal. The fact here that your brethren in the society, your brother, Remus Kane, could be the first ever Northern Division champion, it has to feel like, in my mind, it has to feel that this would be the crowning achievement for the society, the icing on the cake, and everything that you guys have kind of fought for. And even though the obstacles you've dealt with management and such, I feel like in a lot of ways, Mr. Sportswire, the lawman Kyle Kennedy, Remus Kane becoming the first ever Northern Division champion this Saturday at Nuclear Winter is kind of the crowning achievement for you guys and gives you an unbelievable springboard into an even bigger 23. Give me your thoughts.
Absolutely, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And you know, the only concern of mine for that is Champ friggin' Rogers is the special guest referee. So my only concern is that because we already know that the society isn't wanted on top. We've seen that from Remus in the past. We've seen it from me. And I'm sure in the future we'll see it for Callum, unfortunately. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. It's politics within wrestling. Sometimes you just don't get what you want when you are deserved it. And you know what? In wrestling, the word deserved should not be thrown around lightly. But you know what? It's about damn time that the society got some gold, and we deserve that. And my only concern, again, is that the special guest referee has his own bias. And he proclaims he doesn't, but there's been so many times when he's ironically had no bias and then suddenly switched something when the society is involved. So regardless of the fact of Champ being the special guest referee this Saturday, like it or not, there's nothing he or anyone else can do when Remus Kane hits the final rites. It's Sammy Blue. His blue little heart is broken, and all those plebeians in the audience are crying and booing because Remus Kane is your inaugural Northern Division champion, and there ain't a damn thing anybody can do about it.
Let me ask you a follow-up question, and I have a few comments, and I have Remus and Jenny as well. If it would have been a mutually agreed upon referee that, let's say, would have been, if that's possible, an independent referee that would have said, you know what, I don't have any allegiances to you guys or any allegiances to, let's say, Supersonic Sammy Blue. I mean, would that, if we could have found that to be possible, I don't know who that name could have been. You could pick a name out of a hat. Would that have been better, you think, or you don't think it matters? What's your thoughts on that?
You know what? It's completely irrelevant at this point. Sammy Blue has had his fill. He will not beat Remus again. Third time in, no charm.
Very tough. Very tough to do that. Very tough to do that. Very tough.
Believe me, the first time we met, we beat you. The second time, you got lucky at GTM because you had your little friends with you. Third time's the charm. Nah, unfortunately not. This is the rubber match. And Remus Kane is walking out with the Northern Division Championship, and everyone can boo-hoo and cry about it, but there ain't nothing going to stop us.
Well, apparently I asked something that was on the minds of MX Knights, and he says Champ reffing his best friend's match without bias. I'll believe it when I see it. That's why I asked that follow-up question. That's why I asked the question for you guys. If there was a way to say, you know what, let's get somebody, he could even be from another company, to say, you know what, I'm going to referee this match as a special referee to not be involved here. And I have a couple more questions. I have an interesting question from Michael, so let me try to work in as many comments as I can. Jenny Hayes says, "Gotta give the Boomers a chance, I guess. That's the reason Champ is ref." Okay, I don't know what the Boomer reference is, but I appreciate the reference there. Remus Kane says, "Well said. Think of it. The Northern Division title and the tag titles around, which is my next question, our waist, that can be called undisputed, if you will." Yep, no question about it. Callum Majakester says, "Who knows? Maybe Champ has an allegiance with the society?"
Not a chance.
Callum Majakester. I'm a big fan of your work. You just came on Sportswire, but I actually am going to jump in here, right? And I've actually had you and Champ Rogers on a show here on Sportswire Radio. I have heard Champ Rogers a couple of different times in the past talk about you. I have heard you several times speak about Champ Rogers. If I saw that there was a possibility for an allegiance, I think we maybe would have saw it. But you guys haven't liked each other for a long time. That's going back about a year now. I mean, I would be surprised.
How will freeze over the day that me and Champ Rogers are on the same side?
You guys really haven't liked each other. You guys have really not liked each other over the past year. I mean, we've been living proof to this on Sportswire. I mean, I would be like, unless I'm not missing something. I mean, I guess you never know. I mean, but at least Callum threw it out there. I mean, who knows,
the difference
right?
is I respect Connor Cage, as I've said previously. I do not respect Champ Rogers.
I know you listen, and he certainly had his own things to say about you in the past here on Sportswire Radio. And Michael Lowe says, "I do have a good question, and this goes to all of the society. I will understand if you don't want to answer. Remus wins if Kyle or Callum requested a match for that title. Would you defend it against the brothers of the society?"
Of course. But it's like I said when Callum was on the live earlier, regardless of who was in the Rumble, either way, the society wins. We have the numbers advantage. Out of 30 men and women, we have the numbers advantage. So whether it's moi, yours truly, whether it's the upgrade, Callum Majakester, or whether it's Remus Kane. Hell, who knows? Maybe Mixed Knights will jump in. I don't know. I don't know who's in the Rumble. Who cares? Either way, we have the numbers advantage, and we are walking out of Nuclear Winter winners. We're either walking out with the Northern Division Championship, we're either walking out winners of the Winter Rumble, and we're going to be walking out with our eyes set on championship gold, whether it be the tag team titles, whether it be the Northern Division, or whether it be the world class.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, these are reasons why you need to follow Nonstop Action Wrestling. Coming up here, they have their Nuclear Winter, their last show of the year, 6th consecutive sellout. Congratulations to everybody involved here at Nonstop Action Wrestling. You can also get involved in a very, very worthy cause that MX Knights is also a part of Mixed Knights. So that is NSAW Wrestling UK on Instagram, Nonstop Action Wrestling on YouTube and Facebook, Nonstop Action Wrestling Universe also on Facebook. Please join their group. Also, you can check them out, NSAWRest_UK on Twitter. The Lawman K. Kennedy on Twitter, Mr. Justice Kyle Kennedy on Instagram as well, and please support his pages on YouTube and Facebook. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryson. I am the man behind Sportswire Radio, and if you like what you hear from us, continue to like us on Facebook at Sportswire Radio on Facebook, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all our great content on sportnarium.com/play. But before I ask you about those tag team championships, Lawrence Breeze has a question for you. And he says, "Greed does bad things to people. Sure, you can all trust each other like Sammy trusts Champ." What do you say to that?
There's a difference here. We aren't just some best friends. We've fought. We've got at each other's throats. Best friends do that. I've not seen Champ and Sammy do that. All I've seen them do is hug. Friends fight just like family fights. But them two just, don't know, something just doesn't add up. We see Sammy get beat down and we see him with other tag team partners, but I don't see Champ around. I haven't seen him for a while, in fact. I've seen more of these random people coming to Sammy Blue's aid than I have Champ Rogers coming to his aid, and then again, vice versa. Where was Sammy when Remus was beating Champ down with a chair? Where was Champ when Sammy was getting his backside whooped by Remus and the rest of us, and vice versa? They are not the super best buds, they're pretenders. Because like I said, family, friends, brothers fight. And I'll admit it, we in the society have fought. We've got at each other's throats. We've thrown a few punches in the past. Because that's what family does.
Well, you know what? Those are some points to ponder there. I mean, certainly if you're Supersonic Sammy Blue, about 48 hours or so, even a little less than that now, that might be something you may want to think about before you get in the ring there with Remus Kane for that Northern Division Championship. That'll be the first ever Northern Division Championship in nonstop action wrestling history. The first ever person. Like I say, they always remember the first. And speaking of that, the lawman Kyle Kennedy, February the 4th, we're going to see the first ever nonstop action wrestling tag team champions crowned, and I have no doubt that you are going to be a part of that at the Tommy Dillon event to obviously raise funds for the loss of his wife. And I mean, you got to be excited about that because, like I said, I think it's going to be a really big 23 for the society. I think it all starts this Saturday, and I think, as Remus pointed out, you guys could be well on your way to being the undisputed champions of nonstop action wrestling, I think, here. And talk about new tag titles coming to nonstop action wrestling and what does that mean to you and the rest of the society?
Before we get to the tag titles, I just want to put out that it's a great cause. I myself have donated. If I was such a bad guy, I wouldn't have. I've donated to Tommy's fundraiser, I've donated to the WIS fundraiser, I've donated to the Nuclear Winter fundraiser. 3 separate charities that mean old lawman Kyle Kennedy, oh, what a terrible person he is, has donated to. Now that the bragging's out of the way, because I'm actually a decent human being, guys, believe it or not, I just say things that you don't like, because again, you don't like the truth. But listen, this event is huge for a great cause, and I'm proud to do my part, and I'm happy that I've been asked to be a part of it, absolutely. And I'm going to be ecstatic, not if, but when. Whether it's me and Callum, whether it's me and Remus, whether it's Callum and Remus, we are going to walk out your inaugural NSAW Tag Team Champions at the Wrestle for Kirkwood Hospice charity event. Regardless of bitterness and differences and what have you, and being the big bad men that we are, this is for a great cause. I got to put that out there. And if you've not donated yet, what are you playing at? Donate, you idiots. I've done my part, you do yours. But yes, it's for a great cause. But of course, my main goal is to win. The society's main goal is to be victorious and become the inaugural NSAW Tag Team Champions, and we will do that.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's going to be a very, very victorious weekend coming up for the society, and I think February the 4th, which is crazy as it sounds, really isn't that far away. So Something tells me here that the society are going to be victorious there, and they're going to be holding some tag team championships, and the world class title, I'm sure, is going to come into their hands, regardless of what happens in the Disciple Tommy Dillon fallout. Also, obviously, Winter Rumble. I am sure the society are going to do very well because, well, there's 3 of them in the Rumble. So clearly, the numbers game with the society. We know that Callum Jakes going to get the job done against Pride, and we know that the lawman Kyle Kennedy, Mr. Sportswire, is going to do what he's done in the past, and that is defeat Connor Cage. And this individual, who I think we know, says, if you're betting against the society, give your head a wobble. Okay, well, I think that, I guess that makes sense, right? I think this person knows what they're doing. So, and I wouldn't want to give a head a wobble these days. So, I wanted to ask you, though, and we'll come back to Nonstop Action Wrestling. I have about 15 or 20 minutes here with Mr. Sportswire, the lawman, Kyle Kennedy. I know I brought up CCW earlier, but I wanted to talk about Blackheart Wrestling because I know how much you've done this year in Blackheart Wrestling. And I'd ask Callum this same question. So I'll ask you maybe a slightly different question, but kind of the same context. And how do you feel things are with you right now in Blackheart Wrestling and overall the year that was, and what can we expect going into next year with you in Blackheart Wrestling?
I have a very special place in my heart for Blackheart Wrestling. I'm never going to tire of saying that. The bookers there, the boss men there are incredible human beings. And don't expect to hear those words come out of my mouth. Because it's wrestling and promoters are, promoters. But luckily, these 2 people are actually decent human beings. But Blackheart Wrestling, I adore it every single time. It doesn't feel like just another booking or another wrestling show for me. It feels like a family there. I adore Blackheart with all my heart. Every single time I've gone there, I've gone with a smile on my face and with just a whole lot of pain and anger to get out. And luckily for me, Blackheart has provided the idiots towards me and the society to be mowed down, like Los Luchadors, like Reese, like Jiro. I mean, that's a bucket list. That legit is a bucket list match for me. Me and Jiro in the ring. I can say I've beaten the Jester, former UKW heavyweight champion. I did that. Me. Little old me. The other guy in the society, right? The guy that just beats trainees, right? I did that. And I love Blackheart with a passion, and it's only a matter of time until Blackheart rewards me with a buttload more money, because I deserve it, and championship gold. Like I said, I'm sick of waiting. It's time to take. And at the next Blackheart show, whenever that may be, within 2023, you can bet your bottom dollar that the society and the lawman Kyle Kennedy are there to pillage and plunder and take everything and leave nothing but bodies and people crying and in shock as we leave winners of whatever championships we procure, just like within every single other promotion. So Blackheart Wrestling, get ready. Because if you think the strangers are your biggest threat, if you think those masked little weirdos and that weird little JPI fella, if you think they're your biggest problems, it's ironic because the problem that you face head on is far less worse than the problems you have behind you. Because you can see in front of you, but you don't got eyes in the back of your head. And trust me, Blackheart, we are right behind you and we are ready to strike. So when you deem it fit and necessary, Lawrence, you will give us an opportunity and we will take your championships.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I think the declaration has been put out here on Sportswire Radio tonight that not just the lawman Kyle Kennedy, but Callum Majakester and Remus Kane of the society are coming. Whether it's Blackheart Wrestling, whether it's Nonstop Action Wrestling, or who knows, CCW, you name a company, they're coming, and they're coming for gold, and they're going to get gold. They're not going to wait around anymore. They're not going to even be Mr. Nice Guys. They're going to get their goal, whether they get it forcefully given to them or if they beat somebody up to get it. So these are reasons why you need to follow the society. Callum_Majakester on Instagram. Mr. Justice Kyle Kennedy on Instagram. Also want to follow the real Remus Kane .society on Instagram. So please follow Remus Kane as well on Society for his stuff on Instagram. So please make sure that you support the guys and all the great things that they do. And let me ask you this question. And what are your goals for 2023?
I could make a big list. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to go here. I want to go there. I waited and bided my time. I think it's about damn time that the lawman has some championship gold on him without it being taken away. I think it's about damn time that the lawman and that the society get the respect they've not only deserved but earned. Because if you notice, every single show that the society has been on, sell out. You're welcome. So listen, I could make a big list about, I want to go wrestle for Rev Pro. I want to go to North. I want to go to Future Shock. I want to do Progress. I want to venture to Japan and Mexico and America. And I want to go around the UK. Sure, that's a given. I do want to do that. That's blatantly obvious. That's why we do it. To travel, to get our name out there, to wrestle. But the number one mission in wrestling, and it's an unwritten rule, if you will. If you're not here to win championships, there's the door, get out. And I want championships. I deserve championships. So any company, CCW, GTM, any other company that I've just mentioned, Blackheart, and SAW, North, Progress, Future Shock, so on, any other company, doesn't matter. It's irrelevant who you put me against. I'm beating them. I'm putting them down, and I'm pillaging. I'm taking your championships. Because again, I'll repeat myself like a broken freaking record. I'm not waiting anymore. I'm taking. So, Mr. Bryce, my goals are my goal. Championships. That's my goal.
Fair enough, and I don't know if I should ask you this question, but I guess I will. How are you feeling these days? I know that there was some post out there, and I wanted to ask, and how is your body feeling, and how do you feel going toward 23?
I appreciate that question. I appreciate it a lot, because you know what? You're the first person that's asked me that.
Oh, you know what? I was like, I got to ask him this question. I'm like, how could I not ask you the question?
Right now, I'm okay. I'm fine for now. It's wrestling. Injuries happen. It's life. Things can happen. Every single show I've pulled at least double duty. So it was only about time until. I've only been in the business since last May. A year and 7 months. And essentially every single show I've pulled double duty on. Because when someone is like, oh, no, we've not got this, or someone's had to pull out, or this guy's whatever, who do they come to? They come to me. When someone can't make it to a show because of travel issues or they're hurt, who do they come to? Me. When a match hasn't gone to plan and unfortunately things have had to change because, again, it's wrestling. Things changed. Again, you've written a rule you see on every single post, on every single match card. And the little thing at the bottom, it says, card subject to change. Who do they call? Me. Love me or hate me, I could care less. I don't love or hate anyone but wrestling. And you cannot deny my talents. You cannot deny my love and my passion for this. I nearly messed up my body for this business and had to retire at the age of 25 after pulling triple duty because I love this business that much. And yet there's people in this comment section, there's people in this business, and there's people at shows that I've been to, whether you're fellow talent or management, that have said stuff about me. And I've got very good ears. But you cannot deny my passion. Sure, my attitude may stink. I don't really care. But you know what don't stink? My abilities. I'm a damn good promo. I've got charisma coming out the wazoo. And I can wrestle circles around the biggest veterans or the youngest of rookies. I can get in there with anyone. I wrestled my mentor, the man that trained me. I'm the first ever NSAW trainee to be in the main event and wrestle for our biggest championship. And yet there's people out there doubting my pedigree, saying I'm not worthy. There's people out there saying that I don't bust my ass. And yeah, that's a direct shot to you, Donnie. I'm sick and tired of the disrespect. I love this business. I love wrestling. No one can take that away from me. My own body can't take it away from me. 2.5 months ago, I did a big blubbery post about how I might have to walk away and because I was in pain. I was in agony. And yet I'm still here. Pulling double duty again this Saturday, where I'm probably going to walk out and leave and go to the train station in absolute agony. But guess what? It's wrestling. That happens. Do you know this whole wrestling is fake, isn't it? You have not got the fraggiest of ideas how much it hurts. That first bump changes you. That ring feels the same and hurts every single time. You do not get used to that pain. You want to doubt my pedigree, you want to doubt my passion, that's fine, because I will prove you wrong every single time. Whether it's GTM, NSAW, Black Hat Wrestling, CCW, or any other promotion that wants a piece of the lawman, come and get me. Email me. Send me a DM. It don't matter. Do whatever you must. You want a sellout show. You want someone to remember. You want a match that's going to blow the roof off. You look for the lawman, and I'm going to come running. And then I'm going to get my money and go home. I love this business. I love this wrestling business, Tom. 25 years of age. I thought I was too old. That's ridiculous. I'm 25 and I thought I was too old for this. But trust me, I feel as good as ever, as healthy as ever. And I apologize for talking too much. I'll stop in a minute.
No, we have comments about this. No. There are a couple of comments toward this. So certainly it ruffled people's feathers. No, it definitely, I'm glad I asked the question then.
Do you know what? at the end of the day, I can die happy knowing that I achieved my dream. My dream was never to win a championship a year and a half ago. My dream was just to step in the ring. My dream was never to be on sellout shows. My dream was just to run the ropes. My dream was never to be in title matches. My dream was to just take a bump. I've done all of that and more. And I'm damn proud of myself for that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I do have a couple of comments. Tom Donington, know him very well, says, could outwork these lots stood on my head. Okay. Taylor
I don't know who you are. And I could quite
I know
frankly give
him.
less of a damn.
I know who he is. He's a fellow wrestler, and he has a long pedigree in the business, and
It sounds like an absolute tool.
Taylor Truth from CCW. You might know Taylor Truth. You might not know Taylor Truth. Okay, all right. He talks the talk, but can he walk the walk? Well, I'll tell you what. I'd love to see you back.
Get on the phone to Barrett, Mr. Truths, and get him for me the next show, and I will show you that I can not only just talk the talk, I'll walk the walk. And then you can take my hand as I'm leaving the arena and say, sorry, Mr. Kennedy, I was wrong. So get Barris on the phone, tell him to book Kyle Kennedy for the next show, and I will show you.
I'm surprised Barris isn't here. Usually Barris always loves to be in these different streams, and I've seen him comment about CCW quite a bit in more recent shows, and we even saw him in an interview. So I'm actually surprised that Mr. Barris is not here with us. So I want to ask you these last couple of questions. The first question I want to ask you is, what do you want to say before Nuclear Winter, your final words to Connor Cage?
I'm done. Me and you are done after this. I don't need to worry about you. Not that I've ever worried about you. But this is done. You can keep banging on about 6-1 for the next little while, like you have been doing since you got your little fluke win. That's fine. You can look to the past. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to Saturday and being the living crap out of you. I'm looking forward to the Winter Rumble, tossing you and 29 other men or women out. I'm looking forward to the future for the next show in 2023 for Non-Stop Action Wrestling when I face either Tommy Dillon or Disciple for the World Class Championship. And I become a 2-time World Class Champion. I'm looking forward to my next Blackheart show, next CCW booking, anything. I'm just looking forward to the future, and I'm looking forward to what the society brings. I'm looking forward to Wrestle for Kirkwood Hospice. I'm looking forward to Deadline and Humbling Donny. I'm just looking forward to stepping in that ring every single time I get the opportunity. It is a blessing that I get to do this. So Connor, Golden Boy, you can keep banging on about 6-1. The fans in the asylum can keep chanting Golden Boy. It didn't affect me last time. It's not going to affect me this time. I whooped your ass around the asylum at Fire and Gold, and you got a quick, lucky little cage breaker shot in there and got me with a 1-2-3. Shocker. That move actually hurts. So yes, of course you beat me. And I'm proud to admit that. Well done. But you know what? You're not beating me this Saturday. Not a chance. Not a chance. Because there's too much on the line here. Too much. Someone needs to humble you. And that someone is going to be me. That's my message, Tom.
I think as strong a words as you've said, and that's saying a lot because you've been with us quite a bit throughout the year. And Taylor Truth also says, I'm never wrong. However, I'd like to see that. Tom Donington says, got more wrestling psychology in my little toe. Well, I mean...
Yeah, not a clue who you are. Couldn't care less.
He's got it.
You, my guy, you look like Sloth from the Goonies. Shut up.
he's gonna have to get a promoter to book him. I think that's kind of the issue right now that he may have. I don't want to say too much
hey, look,
further.
I don't know who you are, and you're on a live stream with me and talking about me. I don't know who you are. You could bang on about, I've got more wrestling psychology in my little toe, even though I'm not on shows. Sorry, I couldn't care less. I don't care who you are, Tom Donington, sloth-looking mother. I don't care.
Boy, I tell you what, all of a sudden the floodworks have come in on Sportswire because people are now. I have a whole bunch of people that have just tuned in. Taylor Truth says, "I
Keep
love
it
this
going,
show."
baby.
I'll tell you
I
what,
don't know where to be. Let's keep it going.
I'll talk if people want to continue. I mean, Jenny Hayes says Dan Burns stop flirting Killjoy. Any reference to that? Dan Burns stop flirting Killjoy.
I mean, I like Dan Robinson. I don't know why he gets
Actually,
so
can
much
I ask
hate.
you? Can I ask you this
I'm just
question?
saying.
I will ask you because Callum Jakester really doesn't like Dan Robertson, and then you had Michael Knowles, who really has made it clear he doesn't like him. I mean, a lot of people don't seem to like Dan Robertson these days. What is it, if you don't mind me asking, that you like about Dan
I
Robertson?
see a lot of myself in him. He's incredibly
Ah,
arrogant. He's incredibly brash. He's incredibly frigging talented. And you know what? The most important thing I see myself in him, people have told him, no, you can't. No, you won't. Just like they did to me. And
okay.
he is doing and willing, just like me. So, yeah, I've got a lot of respect and love for Dan. Got there in the end. Whoever those other two people are, I don't know. But no, Dan Robertson, the Killjoy, the right hand of the Killjoy. Big fan. His wrestling ability is phenomenal. Just like me, he's got charisma out of the wazoo. He's just a good kid. And
I kind of like his in-ring ability. I have to say, I do like his in-ring ability.
So yeah, he's just a brilliant talent, and he certainly is just like me. He's the future. So yeah, big fan of Dan Robertson.
I would say that he's also the present as well, because you guys are both also the present. So I would definitely make sure to note that. Also, Taylor says if it brings people together. Tom has a comment here. I'm not even going to read the comment. It's a laughable comment, so I'm not even going to bring it up. But
I mean, look at this supposed veteran of the industry coming on a live stream and bashing me. How embarrassing is that for you? Get a life, you sad little man. Go get bookings elsewhere.
I mean, there is a time and place, I would suppose, for certain things here. It's one thing if you want to ask, I guess, a promoter or a wrestler. I think the way Hybrid did it was pretty cool. I thought he talked about, he respected you for your work. I thought that was good.
Exactly. And then you've got tossers like that just like to politic and, just want to tear people down and pretend they're the big I am. And they can't even get booked.
And in wrestling, listen, we see that happen, and unfortunately, that does happen. But we won't condone too much of that. We had the individual who was on the stream with Callum, who's had some problems. So you see these things; they happen. It is what it is. Let me ask you this last question, though, before closing thoughts, because I could talk all day about you and such. And I realize you're a busy man. You've got to prepare for Saturday. You've got a lot on your plate. You've got championships to win. And I'm not even going to throw up any more of Tom's comments at the moment. He's got another one, so I'm going to just leave it as that. But give me your final words to anybody that, let's say, is you watched you this year, wrestled you, supported you, booed you, viewed you, whatever you want to say. And give me your final words to any of those groups throughout this year that has been a part of this journey that you've been on.
First off, I just want to say you, Mr. Bryce, because you gave me this platform. And I don't think you give yourself enough credit. You've given a lot of the UK talent and a lot of the young guns the platform to speak and express and show themselves and promote themselves. So you've definitely helped. Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
My opponents that I've faced, I'll be nice. Thank you. You've helped me improve. You've helped me learn and know what to do and what not to do. Like I've said, I don't take my opponents lightly, unlike some people in the business. You know, if they want to tear people down, that's fine. You know, I can play the bad guy, the heel, but at least I know I'm actually a decent human being outside of the ring. So, from wrestling, outside of wrestling, like I've said, I did my whole 5-minute spiel about 10 minutes ago. So I'm just going to cut it down to like a 4.5-minute spiel. My opponents this year, from Champ Rogers to Connor Cage, Sammy Blue and Leonie Rose, Mikey Future, Goliath Pride, Tommy Dillon, J-Ro Lewis, even my brother, my now brother, Callum Majakester, and J-Ro Lewis. You all helped me improve. You've all helped me become a better man and a better wrestler. Some of those opponents, 2 of them specifically, were bucket list people. I've been in this business since last May, and I've already main evented shows, won a main event championship, won main events, and faced my head, the man that trained me, and the man that I've respected and admired for years. Not a lot of people can say that they've done that within, say what, I first did my first show coming up a year ago this weekend. Started training May of 2021, did my first show December of 2021. Coming up to a year later, I've done all that within a year. And then I've got people in the comments, I know you don't want to mention it, and it's fine, I will.
Yeah, because I think I now know who that individual is.
I can mention it. I'm the guy that they're tagging, so I can mention it. Don't you worry, Tom. But people can tear me down and be as arrogant and brash and be an absolute tool. That's fine. I don't know you, you don't know me, but you want to jump on me. That's fine. I don't know who you are. I could care less. I've heard about you. I know exactly what kind of person you are. I know the games you like to play. But luckily for you and Mr. Bryce over here, I'm going to stop because you don't deserve the time of day. People like you kill this business, where people like me, Connor Cage, Champ Rogers, Tom Bryce help elevate this business. Positive mindset. That's all it takes. Passion and love for wanting to put smiles on faces and entertain people through the art of physicality and of violence. And a little bit of fun here and there. That's what this wrestling business is about. Entertainment. A lot of people in wrestling don't like that word, entertainment, but it is. And I'm damn proud to be part of this business. I've faced the man that trained me, my mentor, Tommy Dillon. I've faced the jester, J-Ro Lewis, and beat him. I've faced my fellow trainees. I've faced veterans of the business. And my toughest opponent of all has always been myself. Because before shows, I'm a nervous freaking wreck, pacing about, worrying, oh God, what's going to go wrong, blah, blah. This is a little bit behind the scenes. But you know what? That's okay, because that's wrestling. Because the more you worry, the more you want to do it, the more you care. You just want to impress. You just want to do a good job. And that's what I want to do. Because again, I'll never get sick of saying it, but I love this in business. And no one's going to take that away from me. So, my final message, and I'll shut up in a minute, Tom. My final message is this.
You're the lawman, Kyle Kennedy. Whatever you want to say, the floor is always yours. Don't feel that way, my friend. You are the
At
lawman.
25 years of age, I thought I was too old for this. My mentor, my trainer, didn't start wrestling till his mid-30s. And look at him now, he's the world-class champion. He's won multiple championships in UKW. He's one of the most entertaining and beloved UK talents. And he's incredibly underrated, in my opinion. We have so much passion in SAW. You're seeing a little bit behind the mask of Kyle Kennedy. I'm being a bit of Brad right now, and that's okay. Because you need a little bit of realism in wrestling. You need a bit of truth. Because at the end of the day, if you have a dream, and I'm proof, a depressed, miserable, fat kid from Halifax, West Yorkshire, who thought he was too old for wrestling, a year and 7 months later, faced my head trainer, main events, world-class champion, rumbles, matches, multiple different companies, and veterans calling me out, trying to bring me down. But you know what? All of that, I wouldn't take it away in a heartbeat. Because I love this. I love the attention. Because who don't? Who don't like getting cheered and booed? You'd have to be stupid not to. That crowd reaction is like a drug. It's mad. I love this business with all my heart. So if you've got a dream, pursue it. You want to be a singer, sing your heart out. If you want to act your life away. If you want to wrestle, bring the passion. So just follow your friggin' dreams. Just do it. Because again, at the age of 25, when I thought I was too old for this, look at me now, going up to a year since I wrestled and did my first ever show. And I'm damn proud of myself. And that's very rare when I say that. But I'm very grateful that I've had good, decent human beings along the way that have helped me out. So, yeah, just wrestling. What a business. You gotta love it.
Well, you definitely no. Listen, you know what? I think it's great. In fact, people liked it as well. My very good friend Anthony Finkel is actually a huge fan of yours, and he's from my neck of the woods. Says it's the lawman Kyle Kennedy, best wrestler in the game, one of your biggest fans here in America. And Anthony's a pretty big guy in his own right, and I always kid to Anthony that why doesn't he go in the ring and wrestle? Because one of our friends is actually a pro wrestler here from a company called House of Glory you might heard of, and his name is Chris Urban, the Urban Warrior, and he started out, he's got to be about, I want to say 39 now, maybe say about 39. He started training like 4 or 5 years ago. So he's like a Tommy Dillon where he's about maybe 33, 34 and started out. So 25, it's nothing. I mean, listen, there's wrestlers. I mean, DDP was, I think, 41 when he started and actually became a wrestler. I mean, Ric Flair was out there. I mean, I don't know why he was out there at StarCast. He was 73. I mean, I just watched Chris Jericho on AEW. No, I understand, but the point is like people of all ages, wrestling's the one thing. If you kick a football around, you really can't do it after realistically like 40, 41. If you shoot a basketball or if you box, very few boxers box after, let's say, 38, 39, except for like an Evander Holyfield or, even Lennox Lewis retired at like 37. I watched the Lennox Lewis documentary not too long ago. But the point is, in wrestling, listen, you're never too old, really. And Andrew Hanley, of course, we love Andrew here, says, absolutely brilliant show tonight. And I must say, which I agree with Andrew on, I absolutely can't wait for Saturday. It's going to be an amazing show for a great cause. And I'm excited because today's the first day I'm starting to feel better from under the weather. So that means I'm going to be full 100% throttle, ready to go. I bought a tripod, actually. You're going to make it chuckle before I let you go. I actually bought a tripod. The reason I bought a tripod is so I can actually put the phone on the tripod so I can sit in my chair and watch you guys instead of going like this while looking at the screen and watching Nonstop Action Wrestling. So you guys are one of the reasons why I went out and bought a tripod a couple of weeks ago. So I'm very excited about Nuclear Winter, as all of you should be. So I want to give you the floor, give you some closing thoughts, any social media else you want to plug, anything else. And the floor is yours, my friend, and fire away.
We've got the socials, of course. Mr. Justice Kyle Kennedy on Instagram, Lawman K Kennedy on Twitter. Follow my Facebook, just the Lawman Kyle Kennedy. Of course, same with YouTube, Kyle Kennedy. Not necessarily me, but of course I want to promote the charity event.
Absolutely.
Justgiving.com for this Saturday. And of course, I believe it's Just Giving for Kirkwood Hospice charity as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what it is for the WAS. I know what the charity is. It's the Cancer Research UK. The Kirkwood Hospice is February, and then this, of course, is for raising funds for the children of Sheffield's Children's Hospital. All wonderful charities. I'm very proud to have donated and done my part. Like I said, so if anyone out there watching, please do your part. It can be as little as 1p. It doesn't matter. Just anything counts. But of course, if you want to donate 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 quid, just do you, bruh. But at the end of the day, just donate, do your part, support these amazing charities. Of course, today, support the strikes. People deserve to be paid the amount
the
that
nurses.
They should be getting.
The nurses, too, now is a big issue. I saw Jenny post that on Facebook. Terrible stuff.
They deserve the right damn wage. So support the strikers, support the workers. But yes, so of course, donate to all of those. Cancer Research UK for WAS, Kirkwood Hospice for Tommy Dillon's late wife in February. God bless. And of course, Sheffield Children's Hospital this coming Saturday. So yeah, just do your part. Donate as little or as large as you can. Just do your part to make the world a little bit of a better place when everything around us is just miserable as anything. So yeah, once again, Tom, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. So yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with all of that, what you just said. And I also want to bring up Michael Knowles, who has one more comment for us, probably our last comment here. Just thank everybody for commenting. The comments were just going on and on and on tonight. Nuclear Winter is going to be great. That's always good. You know what? People like to tune in. I always appreciate that. And I appreciate the people that support Nonstop Action Wrestling like Michael Knowles. And Nuclear Winter is going to be great. Me, my buddy, his son, and our lift expect 4 of us to tear it up. I think it was 3. Now you got 4. So it means Michael he's just finding extra people to support Nonstop Action Wrestling. And one more time, I want to make sure if you are going to support Nonstop Action Wrestling, please follow them on Instagram, NSAW Wrestling UK, Nonstop Action Wrestling on YouTube, Facebook, Nonstop Action Wrestling Universe on Facebook as well, the group. Also, NSAW Rest _UK on Twitter, Mr. Justice Kyle Kennedy on Instagram, The Lawman K Kennedy on Twitter, also YouTube, Facebook. Please subscribe to his pages, also his personal pages. He has some vlogs out there, some really, really cool vlogs, so please make sure you support him. He always puts his heart out there, always does so much for the wrestling business. Look at this guy, ladies and gentlemen. Leave aside his character. Look at the energy and the passion that this man has for the wrestling business. I think that if every single wrestler had the passion and the drive that he would have, the wrestling world would be a better world, and frankly, our whole society would be in a better place. So that's just me off the cuff. Oh, it's 3 plus me, so that makes 4. Thank you, Michael, for clearing it up. My friend, congratulations on a great 22. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in the ring coming up this Saturday against Conor Cage and doing as well as you will in the Rumble. I have no doubt about that. And also future to see you in places like Blackheart Wrestling, CCW, and a big 23 ahead. And I think you'll get gold, but this time hold it. And thank you as always. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Three Kings. I just say them all because that way everybody just doesn't get offended. And I have somebody out there that will probably say, oh, thank you for wishing me that. So thank you for all of that, my friend. And we'll see you out there this Saturday. I can't wait to watch you in the ring. And we'll definitely speak with you here in 23. And ladies and gentlemen, you got it. As we're here on Sportswire Radio, we were here with the Society. Callum and Jakester and Mr. Sportswire himself, the lawman, Cal Kennedy, just hours before he is in the ring against Conor Cage in a Winter Rumble spot decider match. We will also see the Society's Callum and Jakester in the ring against Pride. We will also see Remus Kane and Sammy Blue, Supersonic Sammy Blue, for the first ever Northern Division Championship. We'll also see the guys in the ring February the 4th for the first ever Nonstop Action Wrestling Tag Team Championships at the Kirkwood Hospice event for Tommy Dillon's wife. More details for that to follow. We'll have coverage of that as well on Sportswire Radio. So thank you for everybody here for tuning in. We will have more coverage on Sportswire Radio tomorrow night with the LWF guys, who are also going to have their show December the 17th, the Fight Man Before Christmas. We'll have Wildfire Nate Reese and the Scenario Nathan Gunn. I'll be back also Sunday night with pro wrestling star here from my neck of the woods here in New York. That is C2K. And of course, C2K has been a long time standing wrestling star. He's been a world champion. He's been a podcaster, actor. This guy has done it all. And I look forward to speaking about him and his journey. So that'll be this Sunday coming up here with pro wrestling star C2K. But in the meantime, we were joined with Mr. Sportswire himself, the lawman Kyle Kennedy. My name is the Reverend Tom Rice. Thank you for everybody for tuning in here on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio.